Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Rewinds. Rewind your spot for all things Big Brother Rewinds. We're here. We are yet again covering not one, but two cycles, as cycle 8 and cycle 9 have come and gone. Both Joey and Jocasta have been evicted, a double Jo-micide.
Not the
Yeah,
jokes.
we're here to talk all about it. Hi, I'm Jackson.
Hi, I can't think of an intro, but it's Swan.
Period.
Hi, I'm Shinx. I went to use the bathroom and I saw a mouse, and now I'm traumatized.
You live in
Well,
New York.
Yeah, I know. I know
True.
where I live.
Hey, I'm Graham.
And I'm Sydney, the female minority hire.
What a jarring series of introductions from everybody.
Cycle 8.
Thank you.
Cycle 8 and 9.
Previously, we had the double eviction in which Zach and Caleb were both evicted from the game in the first two jury spots. They were both sent to sequester to battle their way back into the game once the first four jurors had been evicted. Kind of big house target. Caleb has finally been evicted. So where does that leave everyone else? Yeah, Shinx got really into the role play following the double eviction.
It was your idea for them to get poisoned and then be healed all week. I was just
True.
improv.
It's true. What is it? Poipole? How do you say that?
Poi pole, my king. I'm a
Poipole.
little idiot. I love them.
Pokemon names are so stupid.
They're all puns.
Hole.
Via Shinx immersion, Poipole came into the house and poisoned everybody. It was obviously poison week. And with that, everyone had to go into intensive care at the Pokemon Center with the help of Nurse Joy and Chansey. So that was kind of the whole theming of the cycle.
we have a eye exam bracket, right? That's the
Yeah, that was
HOH com.
Yes, yeah.
That is literally called like something eye exam.
Nurse
And then
Joy's eye
Hayden, hey, wait,
exam.
Hayden, when he gets the first question, is like, why the fuck is it written like that? I can't read that.
Yeah.
I forgot to provide an
Yeah,
Well,
example.
because-
Yes. Is
yeah.
it called an eye exam in the competition title? Yes.
Is he
Yeah,
the
the
only person who was
HOH
surprised
is-
that it was like that? Yes.
Yeah. The HOH is split into like a tournament bracket. So there's four people on each side. Since it's the final 9, so one person from each half of the bracket will be HOH. And it is literally called Nurse Joy's eye exam.
Yep.
And then in the instructions, it details about how it will be like statistics from the game in the format of like an eye exam chart where it gets like bigger to smaller as the letters go down.
I don't think it explicitly said it was going to look like an eye exam, but you should have been able to assume.
Yeah, I
But
forgot to put an example, but the competition was called eye exam in the name.
yeah. And also every single time we say, if you have questions, ask questions.
And also, I mean, eye exams are so easy to read when you have proper vision, like
Yeah,
especially on
It's
Discord.
like it's on your phone. It's in your face.
It's like
I
even
don't
if you
get
were
it.
surprised to see it formatted as a
Spelling
eye exam,
chart.
you could still pretty easily read it.
Yeah, like the whole point is that you're supposed to have your impaired vision trying to read it. But these were like crystal clear. It was right up in front of your face.
Victoria, Nicole, Donnie, Joey are on one heat, and then
Okay.
Amber, Cody, Hayden, Jocasta the other heat.
Yes. Hayden
So
and
basically, the odds
Jocasta-
were stacked against the Bluey Brigade
yeah, that's
on
true.
one half,
But
and
also
stacked for them on the other half.
yeah,
And
it can
vice
kind
versa.
of go either way because it can either be good if you're facing off against each other, because that means at least one of you is guaranteed to move on. But also, if
Yeah.
you're all split up, you technically could like be into the finals and guaranteed, but you could also just lose, which is just what ends up happening. Like
Yeah.
Hayden and
Hey,
Jocasta
like-
go first, and Hayden immediately miffs it and goes out.
Jocasta beat Hayden, yeah, and then Hayden.
They
Cody
either
beat
they either
Amber.
flopped her through, like it like even regardless of how the odds were, they flopped her through. Like
Yeah. Nicole beat Victoria. Joey and Donnie took
Amber
forever and a
wanted to
half,
beat Cody for like her own like personal vendetta and just
and then
completely
didn't.
flop. Yeah. And then Nicole like crushed Victoria, which are we shocked? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, no.
Joey lifted and took herself out, and so we go into the finals: Donnie versus Nicole and Cody versus Jocasta.
yeah.
And now Nicole.
Cody
wanted
had
to
pretty
throw.
clearly stated that he was going to throw to Jocasta because that's his number one anyways.
Yeah.
So he might as well be safe, and he can still play an HOH next week if Jocasta's HOH. So that's fine.
mhm.
Yeah.
which comes in valuable later on in cycle 9. He
Yes,
was able to
very.
play an HOH.
Whereas Donnie, on the other hand, in his weird guessing spree, because this is still like a day after the double, he's still coked up on spamming a guess.
Yeah, he's riding
Decides, you know
his
what?
50-50 high.
I'm gonna throw. If I get it right, it's a 33% chance I get it right. And if I get it wrong, at least I see where Nicola stands. So he goes, he throws, he loses.
And poor Nicole
wins
was trying to
while
throw.
trying to figure out the right answer so she could say the wrong answer. And Donnie just shot out a letter as soon as I posted the picture again.
Yeah, because Nicole has this new thing with the new 3 of Team Rocket with Victoria and Donnie, and
Which
they
they love
both think that
so
that's an
much.
actual alliance. Um, and outside of those people, she's aligned with literally everyone. Like everyone outside of that thinks Nicole is like one of their closest allies. So she did not need to be winning HOH, which she said and was correct in.
Yeah,
But
she was
what,
well aware. She had good reads.
yeah,
Yeah.
but what can you fucking do when Shinx posts the question and then Donnie immediately is like, more?
He didn't even say higher. He said more. Like,
And so Nicole was like, Donnie, what the fuck?
Yeah.
yeah.
And he
she
was
just said
like,
out loud, like, Donnie,
it
what
worked
you
for the
do with that?
veto. And like that's it.
This
So
man,
yeah,
this
so
fucking man.
Nicole wins HOH against her better
Begrudgingly.
interest and against literally trying not to.
Against her will.
Yeah,
Literally.
she just didn't immediately throw after like a millisecond. So she is crowned HOH. And then Cody goes through with what he was saying and throws to Jocasta.
Which I do want to mention again because it becomes really relevant in the second half of the pod that we're about to talk about in cycle 9. But this is one of the moments Cody has been throwing basically the entire season, and it's been kind of obvious. But this is one of the first times we actually see Cody's strategic chops really come into play because he's talking in his DR like, I want to throw to Jocasta because next week is the last cycle of Battle of the Block.
God bless.
And with that, because there's so little people, if something goes wrong, shit will hit the fan. And I want to guarantee myself safety for next week by being able to play an HOH and attempt to win next week when the twist can really get you twist fucked. So I actually did think it was interesting because it was our first bit of like true like strategic prowess from Cody. We've seen him be really, really like socially adept throughout the season. But I mean, between the Derek going home on one of their own members' HOH and all the other shit that was going on, we never really saw him be able to like strategically show off. So this was a good segue into cycle 9 for him. That storyline with him finally showing his actual strategic chops gets continued on through this like kind of 2-cycle arc with him.
Yeah. So Nicole and Jocasta are our newest HOHs.
And Jocasta beats Nicole in the first round and gets
Yeah,
the
so
power to
Jocasta
choose the
gets
final round and
Jocasta
gets
gets first
dinged.
dibs on nominations. In the HOH room, Nicole and Jocasta discuss what they want to do with the cycle. Jocasta obviously has a hate boner for Hayden.
Right.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, so Jocasta wants Hayden out, like first and foremost. Not very groundbreaking for her. But the objectively correct play, I would say, for sure. And then Nicole is like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Because no matter what, she's nominating one of her allies. So Jocasta kind of takes the lead in like formulating like the nomination block of people that she wants to do. And she's like, okay, well, I think our reliable pool is like Victoria, Donnie, Joey, Hayden. Basically like the Bluey Brigade, minus Amber, because Amber has these people snowed into everyone thinking that Amber's on their side. So with cap cutters, they're leaving Amber out of this. And Jocasta obviously hates Joey and Hayden. So she's like, why don't I just nominate Joey and Hayden? And Nicole, you can nominate Victoria and Donnie. Great, sounds good. And then and Nicole's like, okay.
Well, Nicole didn't have any other option either.
No.
Like that was
Yeah,
again,
she
we
didn't.
talked about it. That was the whole crux of the issue for her this week. Is that she had no one to nominate
Yeah.
because she's aligned with literally every person in the house.
Yeah.
So it was like it was more of like a who can she piss off less by not
Exactly.
this week? Or rather, even if she pisses off
Who
someone,
will do the least to her back?
yeah, who has the least amount of ability to fuck her over
Yeah.
later.
And I think Donnie
Exactly.
and Jocasta was the correct choice with that.
Or Donnie
It was.
Or
Yeah.
Donnie and Victoria was their correct.
She broke up Team Rocket, but they still have to work together in some aspect to get the mission, so they can't like scorn her as much as they want to.
It's true. It's
So they
just
get
so
her out,
I
which they
feel so
can't.
bad for Nicole because it's not even that it was like, I mean, I guess she could have thrown to Victoria at like the very beginning,
I
but
think her plan
Victoria,
was beat Victoria and then throw to Donnie.
yeah,
Yeah, that
that
was
was her plan.
her one hang up was she was worried about who Victoria would nominate, and so she
Yeah.
strategically wanted to make sure that Victoria was not HOH, which like I get it. I get it.
So that's basically what the nominations are going to shape out to be. Jocasta will be nominating Joey and Hayden, targeting Hayden, and Nicole will be scorning her Team Rocket allies and nominating Donnie and Victoria.
Which
Uh,
it's really interesting to see how diametrically opposed these two reactions from the set of noms were. Because Hayden and Joey were like, yeah, that makes sense. Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. And Victoria and Donnie, you
Yeah.
thought Nicole Franzel killed their
Yeah, you
I
think
will
that-
say I do respect her a lot for sticking up for herself and calling Nicole out on her bullshit, because Nicole did say things like, I just hope one of Team Rocket wins so that we can all be safe and d. Like Nicole, I mean, is playing that strategically. I understand exactly what she's doing, but you know, those are words that you have to pay for if, you know, you put them out
Absolutely.
there in the universe. And so I am proud of Victoria for at least standing her ground and calling Nicole out for being fake. And Donnie also called Nicole fake in his DR quite a bit.
Oh well,
I,
yeah, it was
well, and
iconic.
I think it's like Donnie and Victoria had a right to be mad, but they did like they were so carnally enraged, and
They're
at the
like open
betrayal
about
of
it.
Team Rocket, when it's like you deserve to be mad because one, it sucks to be nommed, and two, Nicole literally is implied essentially you wouldn't go up if a Team Rocket member
Yeah.
won HOH, but also like again, Team Rocket isn't a real alliance.
I do think Donnie kind of get like, because Donnie
I'll
can be
give
like,
Donnie
you
that.
literally chose me like last
Yeah.
round,
Oh
like
yeah, no, yeah, for
you
sure.
included me in this, and then you're turning on it, but it is still insane because it's not an alliance, you guys.
They acted like she like had a deep
Like a
one-on-one,
final
like
three,
personal,
yeah.
right? And it's like
Yeah.
they did have a relationship, and it was right to be mad. But the reaction, especially with Victoria, who's like never here, like is so checked out of the game, and like has always held like way too much stock in Team Rocket since day one. And it's like, girl, there are other things for you to be mad at right now. Like,
Yeah.
look at yourself.
And I do want to
Introspect.
mention actually, because I do believe Nicole and Jocasta originally discussed splitting up Hayden
Mm-hmm.
and Joey. That
Mhm.
way, one of them is on the block after Battle of the Block, no matter what. But in hearing about them being targeted, Joey goes to Jocasta
God.
and says,
Ah.
Jocasta, Hayden is just making me a bigger target in this game with our duo. It's really better for me if Hayden goes. So if you nominate me next to Hayden, I'll throw Battle of the Block.
A lie that makes no sense and should not work on
No.
anyone.
And then
And
worked.
Jocasta is like, oh my God, yes.
And
Absolutely.
Two dumb
Jacosta's
bitches in
telling
a
all her
room.
allies, she's like, guys, don't worry. Joey's gonna throw. And everybody's like, what?
Why would she do that?
But yeah, it's like, in what world is Joey going to throw a competition to get out her number one, who is also an insane shield for her? Like, it's just the most non-believable lie, and Jocasta ate it up for breakfast. Like,
Yeah, Jocasta
Oh,
goes
yeah.
to her DR and is like, well, she has no reason to lie to me.
she
Like,
has
she
quite a
has
bit of reason.
every reason to lie to you.
I think Jocasta was just foaming at the mouth for like some sort of Hayden bloodshed
Yeah.
that she
Right.
was so
Yeah.
willing to just go with anything
Yeah.
that would end in Hayden being like a final nominee on the block.
Yeah.
So I think that is why she was open to that. However, it's still she's
Just
still
wild.
just bad.
So nominations go through, and Joey and Hayden are nominated by Jocasta, and Victoria and Donnie are nominated by Nicole. And it's being spread around thanks to Jocasta that Joey's going to throw the Battle of the Block to keep Hayden, and so that Donnie and Victoria can be safe. This is not the case. She will not be doing it, but she's bad enough in the competition that it looks like she threw.
Not only is she bad, she
The best
tanks
part.
them. Hayden would have won that on his own, the best
Yes.
individual score. But Joey did so bad, she sunk them. And now
Joey
people even started to consider,
genuinely
like, wait,
not
was
throwing.
Joey flopping in the past too? Like, someone brought up the Devin Battle of the Block,
Yeah.
where they took 35 minutes and she was swearing that Devin did this. And they're like, Joey might just suck.
Yeah. Yeah. Joey genuinely, all by herself, not trying to throw, genuinely attempting to win the competition, tanks her and Hayden's score so badly that they lose to Donnie and Victoria, who win themselves safety and dethrone Nicole, to the point where people are like, oh, Joey did throw. Like, she meant it. Like, wow, Hayden's still on the block. Like, good on you, Joey.
Even Hayden's like, girl, what the fuck? And
Yeah.
his trust in her starts
Hayden's
to
like,
shake for a
why the
little
fuck
bit.
did my number one ally just throw Battle of the Block?
And it's so funny because he says that, and then I don't know, like 4 hours later after they talk, he's like, "Oh, she's just bad." But Hayden, even Hayden has that like conscious thought of
Yeah.
like, did she throw? Like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Yeah, because Hayden knows his own score, obviously. So when he sees the average score between him and Joey, he's like, huh?
Well,
When I
Shanks also
revealed it was
posted
like
all of
4
the
minutes
scores
for
for the
6 minutes or
preview.
something, six or whatever the number was, and Hayden was like, "Oh, we got a good average." Then he sees the breakdown. He's like, "What?" My jaw just dropped for the listeners. He was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it was rough.
It was a fun moment of reveal that I couldn't even make suspenseful at like 2 a.m. when it finished.
Yeah. So Jocasta thinks she's like mastermind big braining this and just convinced Joey to throw the Battle of the Block to keep Hayden on the block and get like her closest ally out and Jocasta's biggest target out.
One thing that was interesting that we did skip over a little bit was Nicole used she got permission from Brittany to kind of use a Brittany backdoor as a potential reasoning for her nominations, which
Yeah, she was selling that to Donnie and Victoria.
which of course at least they were smart enough to not be Jocasta and be like, that makes no sense for Nicole's game. Why would she want to, like, I don't buy that.
Yeah. Donnie and Victoria win themselves safety, are taken off of the block. Nicole is dethroned, and Joey and Hayden remain on the block with Jocasta as HOH as we go into the Power of Veto competition.
Which is an iconic staple veto competition. It's OTEV.
Yeah.
Oh
Exciting.
yeah.
Oh, we
the
didn't
slight
even
twist.
we didn't
We
even
skipped
discuss
it.
what the Battle of the Block was. The Battle of the Block was
Oh,
BB
yeah.
Comics.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow,
yeah. Whoops.
iconic. Okay, how could we skip that?
It
Because
was
there's
called
some
Here, Take a
powerful
Pamphlet.
things.
Yes, so we did because BB Comics was surprisingly early in this season. I think it was actually
It was their debut.
yeah, and if we actually did it the same cycle that they did it on the show, I think it actually would have been last cycle. But yeah, so we ended up doing BB Comics, and with the whole Pokemon Center like Nurse Joy theming of it, all the BB Comics were like the little medical
Put 'em on.
pamphlets that you'll find in like doctors' offices and stuff. So we
Yeah,
had
we had Grande.
Grandexidrine
Yeah,
for
you got it.
Frankie. And Paula's was about medical marijuana use and operating stopwatches.
Christine's was
Beast
about
mode
burning down your
vaccine.
burning down your place of employment for
Yeah.
Christine.
Christine's was like, do you hate where you work? Are you super sleepy and you don't know why? Will replies be slow? try burning down your
Devin's
place of employment.
delusions.
Iconic.
Yeah, Devin's was about delusion affecting 1 in 16 house guests. Derek's was about a chopping block near you, needing volunteers. Zach's was about the Zach door, and if you or anyone you know has been affected or a victim of the Zach door. And it had the little veto ticket on it. And then yeah, Caleb's was the beast mode vaccine that had a
Immune for 6
disclaimer saying,
weeks.
yeah, immunity for up to 6 weeks may not be effective when combined with double eviction. They were super fun. I had a lot of fun
And
making.
Jackson did a great job on making them. So thank you, Jackson.
I was
They looked
supplied with
amazing.
many an
Yeah.
idea from you all.
Sorry.
So special credit to Swan for the beast mode vaccine. That one.
I did like that one. Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, that was the battle of the block that Joey botched for her duo. So going into the veto competition, we go from one iconic Big Brother comp to another. We go to OTEV, which
the
is themed
players.
around like picking berries in Viridian Forest. And since this is the final 9, all the berries are named after various 9th place house guests throughout BB Rewind's history. And basically the house guests are just given a prompt that hints at one of the 9th placers in BB Rewinds, and they have to navigate through the channels and figure out which berry they have to grab and then bring it back.
Berries and cream.
Amber and Jocasta go in and immediately fuck it up and claim the very first berry that they see.
Which was
And run it back
because
to
the
the
first
podium.
question was like, "Did this berry person not be a juror?" And they clearly went into their notes and scrolled bottom up, saw Frank walked in season 14. I was like, "Oh, that's it," and didn't use their eyeballs.
Yeah, because all the
scrolling.
information that the questions and stuff were based off of was like easily found in Shinx's charts that he did in Rewind's history. And the very first question was which house guest or like which player was the only one not to serve as a jury member? And it was Matt back in Big Brother 9 because he got ejected. And while Frank did quit in Big Brother 14, it was for very justified reasons. So we still let him be on the jury. And there's completely different color. And again, let me reiterate, we tell these people every competition, if you have questions or clarifications, please ask. And
They can't read.
we
Even
even
if the
asked
talk is
them,
running, you can ask during the time. It's
yeah,
gonna eat your
we
time,
even
but you can still
asked
ask the
them
questions.
when we dropped them into the first channel for OTEV, do you have any last questions? And every single person said no. And then Amber and Jocasta went in and immediately eliminate themselves by picking the wrong berry. Thank God that everyone else actually managed to go through because they were the first 2 to go. So we just thought that everyone was going to get eliminated on round 1. And like, Lord knows what we would even do with that. But everyone else does manage to finish the competition. And it was a little, so it's one person, obviously Amber and Jocasta were both incorrect the first round, so both of them were eliminated. But after that, it was just one person, like single eliminations based on how fast it took you to get the right answer. Because everyone got the right answer after that. It was just a matter of how long it took them. And it was close on quite a few of them, but just pending on the order of it. Victoria goes in, does the first one successfully, so she makes it past that. But then it literally like is the deadline. And she's like, I just have to stop, guys. I'm sorry. I'm
She
DNFing.
was like, "I don't want to waste your guys' time," which I appreciate. Thank you for not wasting my time. But you could have.
What about the last 24 hours?
We would have let her finish. Like at that point, you started
Right.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, she goes in,
saved
she
us the
finishes
headache.
round 1, DNFs round 2. So it doesn't matter about anyone else's times on round 2. As long as they finish, it's fine. So Victoria goes out round 2. So it's down to the nominees, Hayden and Joey, and Brittany is left. Joey gets eliminated in 3rd. So it comes down to Brittany and Hayden. And Hayden rather handily wins the final round. So Hayden snatches the power.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. From Jocasta's cold, dead hands. Snatches
Soon
the
to be
veto.
cold dead hands.
Yeah.
And sometime later.
Yeah, and Hayden wins the power veto, and obviously will be using it on himself.
Of course.
Jocasta's fucking pissed.
Of
Cody's
course.
fucking pissed.
Of course.
Because they want him dead.
That's true, because they did all of this, and I mean it's been difficult to get Hayden pinned down this season because he's
Yeah.
This is the first time he's been this is the first time he's been nominated.
Yeah.
Hayden's nomination marks Nicole as the last to be nominated in the game.
Yeah.
Last to not be nominated.
Yes.
Or yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. And obviously that's insane in a season with Battle of the Block. However, we saw
It
it happen
is.
literally to the winner of the real life BB16. Derek was never
Yeah.
nominated until not even just the Battle of the Block phase. He was never nominated the whole game, right, Shanks?
Yeah. Except
It
final three because
depends
he
if you
lost to George,
count
but whatever.
final three or not.
Well,
I
yeah.
count it. He got on the block because Cody was able to knock off a final three in All Star, so it
I
counts.
personally
He won.
also do count it, but at that point you're
Like
nominated
someone can
by,
vote you out if someone can say your name and send you home,
yeah.
you're on the block. That's my
So
rule.
I would count that, but who really cares? It's kind of semantics at that point. So maybe that bodes well for Miss Franzel. Maybe she will be the Derek of the season. Who knows?
Would love to see it.
Yeah, I would not mind at all. But
Is it not Franzel? It's
It's Franzel, I
Franzel.
believe.
I thought it was
I'm
Franzel.
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's
Franzel is
Franzel.
better.
Well, it's
She's wrong for that.
Arroyo to you.
It's
It's
Franzel
it's
Arroyo now. Arroyo.
Mrs. Nicole.
So Hayden went to the power of veto.
But yeah, Hayden wins the power of veto to the chagrin of Cody and Jocasta, as now they can't get their number one target home or target sent home. Obviously, Joey's still on the block, and they're a really solid duo, anyways. And Joey herself has been kind of hard to pin down. Like she's been up on the block 5 times and survived to this point. So
That's true. Joey is the true cockroach of the season.
yeah, she is the block roach.
The
Yep.
block
Brigade,
roach.
the Bluey Brigade block roach. Triple B, as they say.
Who says?
And I've always said that. Yeah, so Joey remains on the block. Hayden obviously is going to use the veto on himself. So now Jocasta has to name a replacement nominee. Donnie and Victoria are immune, can't do that. Hayden obviously is immune with the veto. So it really leaves Brittany, Nicole, and Amber.
Well, and the thing here though is that Jocasta and Amber already talked about it. And Amber already knew she was going up in a renom situation. Because it was honestly the only thing that really would have made sense for Jocasta's game. It would have seemed weird if she put up Brittany or Nicole and she didn't want to do that. So they had already made this deal. Amber had even told Jocasta for the first round, like, hey, if you need to pawn me or something, I get it. And so Amber,
Which I think is brilliant because if you
Yeah.
know you're probably going up anyway, like it's one thing to like act like chill about it. No, I get it, I get it, I get it. But for her to straight up be like, I mean, she didn't say this to Jocasta, but she, in her head, she's like, okay, you're gonna nominate me anyway. So she goes to Jocasta and she's like, yeah, it's okay if you have to nominate me. Like, I'm down being on the block, like whatever, whatever. And I was like, that's a slick move. I respect it.
So Amber had previously agreed to be the replacement nominee should Jocasta feel the need. So that decision's all but made for her. So now it's just really a matter of Joey or Amber going home. And while there may be some debate from like Hayden, obviously, and Victoria, because Victoria also loves Joey. Donnie at this point prioritizes Amber over Joey. And Donnie kind of wants to stick it to Hayden anyways for Hayden backdooring Zach a few cycles ago. So they're kind of holding it to that. So really, it pretty much seems that Joey's kind of a goner at this point. It was like her best chance would have been against Hayden.
Yeah, especially with Hayden off the block, people just want to weaken that. Since Hayden had just made the huge move of backdooring Zach, and then Caleb went out, so so Hayden is another huge comp threat. And so anything that they can do to weaken that, right? Because even if Hayden doesn't win, then I guess Joey could win a comp and save Hayden. So it's just attempting to kind of sever those ties as much as possible. That's kind of all that was left.
Yeah. Joey has greatly benefited at this point in the game from being kind of the second in command to Hayden and having that shield in front of her and that being such a big target that she is associated with. But this is kind of just the unfortunate possibility that can always happen with that is that you're put up on the block next to this person who's supposed to be your shield and then they save themselves and you're still associated with that person. And so as a way to take a shot at that person, you end up getting cut instead. And that's really what happened to Joey. And I was kind of disappointed, honestly, because it's not like Joey didn't fight. She absolutely did. And she straight up went into her DR and she was like, yeah, I'm just making stuff up. Like, sorry, guys. which
She
that was
was
funny.
lying out her ass.
Yeah, she
and
was
I
just
think
lying
Joey
about
might be the
everything.
biggest pathological liar we have cast in a while. Between these random lies to save herself,
I
the
live.
random lies about the competitions to make herself look better,
I love
just
it.
everything. And it pissed me off in the moment, but looking back, it's really fucking
I
funny.
think it's really funny. And it's another thing. This just keeps happening to Amber, but she just like starts making shit up about Amber to try and target her. Like Zach did it, but Joey just starts saying shit at this point about Amber, and none of it really finds any ground at all. People are like, okay, Joey.
Yeah, I think Joey's position is considerably weakened by the fact that the reason she has stuck around is kind of by being a block roach and less of her own social maneuvering and standing in the game. So whenever she begins to start kind of trying to press like that, Amber's social capital comes up against Joey's social capital, and Amber's is just so much higher. So everyone's like, oh, why would we believe Joey over what Amber's saying? You know what I mean? And again, they were right to do that, right? Because Joey was lying and throwing everything at the wall and saying what stuck. But it's just kind of how it is sometimes.
Yeah. And unfortunately, a bit of like a whimper instead of a bang, Joey gets evicted. Hayden votes to evict Amber. He says a little funny thing about like, what is it about my number one allies being nominated next to Amber? It's like Christine got evicted next to Amber. Hayden also threw a pity vote and voted to evict Amber then. He does the same thing now, votes to evict Amber. Everyone else votes to evict Joey. It's a pretty done deal, and Joey goes home 5-1. The block roach finally got.
Rip the blue.
Somebody got the raid.
Yeah, 6 times up, and that number 6 was just one too many.
Kind of like the cat with 9 lives, but she had
Wow, the
6.
number 6 kind of cursed for our block stars here. We had Caleb with
Yeah.
6 weeks of immunity, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
Joey with her 6th time on the block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Maybe-
why
Maybe
I have been and will continue to root, because I want Joey to come back and get nominated even more times. And I want her to break the
Oh
record.
my god.
That's my main motivating factor, because obviously Harmonizer as Dominic in 13 has the record now for a single season, which I believe is 8.
That's 8, yeah.
8.
And that includes
they beat his
him
ass.
getting evicted and coming back. So
Yeah.
if Joey has similar arc and comes back, because she's already at 6, so she only needs a couple more times. Dominic was nominated like more times after he came back than he was before. So if Joey has the same trajectory, we could be getting into like double digits here, people. And that's what I want to see. And I will say, we really did not talk about Brittany in any way whatsoever this episode.
She kind of didn't do anything. She kind of just sat there and ate her food, and I'm like,
And that is going to be a great transition into my MVP point, because I will be giving it to Brittany, because it was
As you
kind
should.
of a whatever. This has been one of the more chill rounds. It's very a la Nicole getting my MVP trainer of the episode endorsement back in cycle 4 on a kind of more chill, like straightforward cycle. But everyone else did at least something to fuck up their game in some way, shape, or
Yep.
form. And Brittany after Caleb went, a lot of people, myself included, were like, oh no, Brittany is so clearly a comp beast, like out in front. She's going to be targeted and like could be in a lot of danger. She came in right after the double. This is the first time Brittany hasn't won a competition and didn't need to in any way
In a
whatsoever
while.
in like 5 cycles or something. Like it's something crazy like that. And
Yeah.
she just got to sit back and chill. She proved her loyalty to Amber further by voting to keep her. And like the rest of her alliance are like crumbling around her. And her opposition are wanting to target the other people more and more as they go. And Brittany can easily rely on competitions to win safety if she needs to, because she's really good at them. So maybe not necessarily so much for what she did this cycle, but for what she didn't have to do. And also, this is kind of my like Oscars, like Brittany deserves to have an MVP point and a trainer of the episode at some point this season, So I want to give it to her here, and I want this to be my opportunity to give her props. So Brittany is my
Has she not gotten MVP points yet?
no.
No,
I
Oh,
don't
that's
think
kind
so,
of
no.
crazy.
it's crazy, but
She does
Yeah.
now, baby.
you
Her
know,
threat level is kind of insane though, so I get
Yeah,
it. She's
it's
never had a
Yeah.
cycle where she's been able to downplay her threat level.
yeah,
This week it was only because she couldn't compete in HOH, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, which
she
is for the
physically could
better.
not win HOH.
And she got her 2 allies to win, so she was never in danger unless Battle
Yeah.
of Box Shenanigans, which didn't happen.
She was just straight chilling. So props to you, mama.
Yeah.
Queen.
LVP full T, and I realize it was kind of out of her control just with the dynamic of it all. But I don't think I'm gonna probably have the opportunity to say this for the rest of the season. So I'm gonna give my LVP to Nicole. Just because it was such a mess and there was so much direct damage to her game, especially going into next cycle that we will talk about. But even if we didn't have all of that information in a cycle where at the touch of like a breeze of the wind, shit could go wrong and you can get evicted. Nicole like flagrantly pissing off 2 or 3 people that are still going to be here next cycle. Not a good look. So I'm going to give that to Nicole. I doubt she'll get another one, especially from me the rest of the season, but I'll give it to her here.
Yeah.
I'll go next. I am going to give my MVP to Cody actually, because he made several correct calls throughout this cycle, and even if Hayden, his like #1 target, didn't go, Joey was still definitely a preferred target of his. He threw the HOH correctly and to the correct person. He I believe like when Joey was speaking on Amber's name, like he made sure to run that back to Amber. I thought he just made a bunch of good decisions to set him up well for not only next week but beyond. He and Jocasta kind of talked about a final four of soccer moms and that possibility, while he's also actively talking about Nicole's rising threat level and how she needs to be taken out. And he and Jocasta were talking about basically they don't mind if other people take shots at Brittany and Nicole because that in the end will benefit them. So I think Cody kind of had the best head on his shoulders for in terms of long-term strategy. I think like a lot of his decisions he made this week weren't directly beneficial to his game like in this moment, but really set him up well for the future. And I'm gonna give my LVP to Donnie, I think, just because he threw a competition in a not even like guaranteed throw kind of way and then ended up on the block because of it. And very well, had, Hayden, a comp beast, won the Battle of the Block, Donnie could have remained a nominee and ended up a final nominee. And I don't fully remember where people lean on like Donnie and Victoria versus Victoria at this point. But if people are wanting to take shots at, I think there was talk of like wanting to
I
stack
think,
up the battle back with comp winners. And so Donnie
yeah.
was seen as a comp winner, and Donnie could have easily gone home for a very foolish, poorly strategized throw. So that's where I'm at.
I think I'm also gonna give my MVP to Brittany. It was close between her and Hayden, but ultimately Hayden did go up and was the target for the week. Props to him for saving himself. But yeah, like Brittany, again, it wasn't really her doing, but after a third HOH win and the most, she like rightfully was forced into the back seat and did not mind. She was very lucky that her allies won both HOHs, but even if they didn't, she would have they would have attempted to backdoor her. And these veto draws are wonky, so she might have not even gotten targeted anyways. But yeah, it's like she, after getting a crazy extra target on her from the battle, from the double eviction, it's nice that she's getting a moment to like step back. And now my least valuable player here, spoiler alert, because it's the same one as last week and the same one it will be next week in like an hour when we get to that point. It's going to be Victoria because I'm just like,
Not too much.
girl, I love, y'all know I will say this every time. I love Victoria, but girl, what are you doing? Team Rocket isn't a thing. Let it go.
If we took a shot,
Every
we
time.
went back and listened to all of these in a row and took a shot for every time we said Victoria, Team Rocket isn't a real alliance. You would be
Team
like,
Rocket, stop trying to make Team Rocket happen. Okay, Team Rocket's never gonna happen. And yeah, I'll get more into Victoria next week, but it's kind of like this next week, it's a continuation of this week for my LVP points. So that's yeah.
Guess I'll go then. I think my MVP is also Cody. Like I mentioned, this was the first time we really got to see Cody spread his like strategic chops because we've only seen him as a real social player, but this week we got to see him have some real strategy by throwing correctly, by setting himself up well for the future weeks, which we'll talk about. And the thing that reason that there is some kind of cycle 9 play resulting in this MVP just because we do get to see that his strategic stuff that he set for himself up this week saves him next week and helps him next week. So I think there's a little bit of bias in that sense that I do kind of know what happens. But my MVP is Cody. In my LVP, I think I'm gonna give it to Nicole this week too, simply for the fact of the way that she handled telling Donnie and Victoria that they were going on the block was not great, which is something that is kind of rare because we don't often see that from Nicole. Nicole's usually very calculated and very socially adept and able to kind of maneuver her way through situations. And this was the first time that we actually saw her kind of struggle in a situation like that, on top of the fact of she just should have never won anyway. Again, there's the Donnie of it all, where like, sometimes some stuff is out of your control, but it happens. So
I
She-
will
yeah.
say the one reason I didn't give LVP to Nicole is because it just personally to me felt unfair when the circumstances were out of her control and she just had Donnie do a bad throw that
Yeah.
blew up her game. She didn't really have an
I don't think she
opportunity
should have won, but she
to.
didn't even like. It's not like it's like Christmas pushed the button first. Devon didn't get to try.
yeah, that's a fair assessment. Although I do think there is some onus too of being like, I'm about to go up against Victoria and Donnie. Who's the bigger wild card? You know what I mean? Or in terms of like, is there any sort of planning you can do of being like, okay, I'm about to go up against Donnie. God knows what's about to happen. Like, I need to send in the wrong answer as fast as I possibly can, or whatever it is you're trying to do for your throw. There might be some of that there, but again, most of the onus is not on her for that. But I am docking her points, and it's kind of funny. I think it's because she's been so good. It's almost like we're grading her on a higher scale, in terms of like her social interactions and that kind of thing. So, but anyway, yeah.
The dogs, Mama, they
Jesus.
literally will not shut up. Rats, they are pissing me off. I don't even know what they're barking at. They're just
Not
mad.
the New York accent. Wait a minute.
Pissing me
Pissing me
off.
off.
Pissing me off. Both
Hey,
of you.
We don't talk
Shut the
like
fuck
that.
up.
I'm walking
Both
here.
of you
We
are
do not
pissing
say
me
that.
off. Okay. So my MVP is gonna be also Cody. Just because, well, for all the reasons both of you already said, but also because I just feel like Cody is the one that came out of this week with like holistically the most wins. Like Brittany, I think Brittany didn't really lose anything, but I think Cody did like win some things. Whereas everybody else either was like neutral or lost in some category or degree. So that's the reason, plus all the stuff you guys already said. Cody slayed. Also, I think it's like impressive that Cody was in. I mean, honestly, I guess this is everyone. Like one week you're number one, the next week you're like number 7. But he
Yeah.
really did have like some L's, but he's like really turned his game back around. And it's been really interesting to see him like really amp up and like start taking things more seriously and start like really showing us that like he's definitely trying to make a deep run and he has the capability to do so. So he is my MVP.
Slay.
And then my LVP is someone I love, and it's Nicole. It's unfortunately Nicole. I love her.
Interesting.
I think it's partly that I know I probably will never give this to her again, like Jackson said. So I feel
Yeah.
like there's
This
that
is
part
such
of
a
me that's like,
weird reason to punish somebody. I'm just
no,
saying.
it's not a punish. It's not a punishment. I know I always like berate them, but like in this, not every week do I actually hate. And this is not out of hate. And I understand and agree that like she could not have foreseen the pairing with Donnie. That wasn't her fault, but it's still just like, this was just like, she should not have won HOH. Like, I cannot express how dire it was immediately when she won HOH, and it just didn't. Thankfully, it didn't tank her game because she's pissing off Donnie and Victoria, so like it's fine. But like, I still think that it was like, it's just, she took so many L's for literally nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she gained absolutely nothing and lost some stuff. So unfortunately, I feel like I kind of have to get. I feel like LVP loser, like she was giving a bit loser, and I hate to say that because I
It's
love.
almost
women.
like she had the self-awareness to know that she didn't want HOH.
Okay,
No,
but
I
if
get
that's the
that's the
case,
thing.
then
Why didn't she throw to Victoria?
yeah, it's
She
like
didn't want
it's
Victoria.
like
She had to
throwing any other
guarantee
thing. It's
Victoria.
like
She
getting
had
a
to
perfect
guarantee
score, but
Victoria.
leaving it to time or something in some other competition. Just completely take yourself out of contention of even being HOH and go out the first round.
Well,
I
and I'll
think she
also say,
thought that
like,
the risk of Victoria being HOH was worse than her being HOH.
Yeah,
That's
that's
an
probably the biggest
actually-
misread, is that thinking that Victoria's capable of winning an HOH. So I will
or
dock
She
her
even
for
almost
that.
won
Victoria
the
never would
double.
have
Victoria
nominated Nicole
almost won the
either.
double.
But also,
That's
Victoria,
true. That's true.
listen,
Nicole was trying to protect
Victoria
Brittany.
never.
Yeah, I
Nicole
was.
never would have nominated, or Victoria would have never nominated Nicole.
I think she was
Nicole didn't
protecting
want
her
Victoria to win.
alliance.
Yeah, for Brittany and the rest of the alliance.
Sure, and
She didn't know
that's
what Victoria was going to
okay.
do.
All of this to say, I never said that Nicole didn't know this.
No, I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Before the HOH, she was literally like, I better not fucking win this HOH. So like, and that's why I don't like, I know she wasn't gunning for it, and I know she didn't want it. So I don't really blame her for that. But like, at the end of the day, she's still like, in terms of her overall positioning and how much she has to gain, and like how her leverage in the house, like she lost the most this week. Most of it out of her control. Like, she kind of did what she had to do, and she won an HOH that she didn't want. But it still wasn't great for her. Still was giving L, unfortunately. And I hate to say that about any woman, but especially our beautiful woman, Nicole.
Why don't you take us away, Sydney, with the trainer of the episode as well?
Okay. So, trainer of the episode, Jackson was very excited about this. I'm also very excited about this because this is now praising women. We love women. The trainer of the week is Brittany.
Yeah.
It's Brittany. Everyone clap. Everyone applause. That's right.
Women.
And you know what?
I didn't clap.
One.
Are you protesting?
I love Brittany. I think it was Cody's week.
Cody's had a few weeks.
Cody's had weeks. And like, here's the thing. I think sometimes trainer of the week, a lot of times trainer of the week coincides with who's number one in the power rankings. And usually I think that's fair. But I also think sometimes there's a little bit of like, trainer of the week is giving more of like who had like a unique kind of spotlight moment, or who kind of stepped outside of their like usual gameplay. And that's kind of why I agreed and wanted it to be Brittany, because this is literally the first week in a while that she didn't have to comp herself to safety the entire time.
True.
Like, she kind of just got to stand back. It's like we finally.
But it was more just of circumstance of the people who won. I
Sure,
will say, I think the
yeah.
one really smart thing she did this week was giving Nicole permission to be like, yeah, you can totally pretend like you're gonna backdoor me. Like,
No,
Yeah.
right.
that was really
but I also
smart.
think,
So she
I
did
think
make
what
moves.
I liked. Right. And I think what I liked was that we finally got to see Brittany from a perspective of like pure strategy, rather than her trying to use physical prowess to protect herself from like a survival mode. Like, this is the first week in a while, like in this deep run into like jury phase and everything, that Brittany had a second to take a breath and like actually think about the week and not worry about being backdoored or worry about her safety. And I feel like she played the week really well. Like, to be fair, it wasn't like she had to go out of her way to do anything to make it go well. Like, it kind of worked out for her. But I also think she made all the right moves. She said all the right things. Like, it was an overall really good week for her. And I think she used the breathing space well, because we've seen when people, Caleb, have a lot of breathing space for the rest of the week and don't do anything with it. Which obviously is like the opposite. I don't know what the opposite of trainer of the week is. Like, loser of the week. I don't know.
The fucking evicted player, basically.
Yeah.
We have given people trainer of the week and MVP for doing less than what Brittany did this week. Like, during the double eviction.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
right.
So I'm fine with Brittany having her flowers.
No, yeah, and it is partly like it, like Jackson said, is exactly like Leo getting an Oscar for a movie that he didn't deserve the Oscar for because he should have gotten the Oscar like 10 years ago.
Thank
It was a
you.
little bit
Fuck,
like
fuck
that.
The Revenant. It's a terrible movie.
Right. Like he was
Is that
fine
the one
in
where
it.
he
It's not-
gets
but like
mauled by a bear?
Yes.
Mhm.
yeah, and he's
He got
like,
his Oscar for that?
Yeah.
yes. Like who gives
Yeah.
a fuck? Like who gives a fuck? But
Yeah,
it's like
so
yeah.
this cycle was Britney's Revenant.
Exactly.
Is
You
And
know
what
what?
I
I'll
think
trying
accept
to
it. I'll
say.
and
accept
Jackson
it. I'll
and
accept
Jackson
it.
said that. Yeah, it's like we're giving Britney flowers, and I think it is just like being able the satisfaction of being able to see her do like this marathon of like physical wins for week after week, and then finally getting to see her take a breath and like actually enjoy the fruits of her labor. Because also Brittany is one of the people in the Soccer Moms Alliance side of the house that like does actually have like substantial relationships with the other side, the Bluey Brigade. Like
Sure.
she actually has a pretty like decently close relationship with Hayden, which has paid off for her more than once over. So I think like we're getting to see like I liked getting to see more of her game other than just like survival mode. It was like, and I think she did a good job. And yeah, this is her Revenant, and we're all applauding. We're all clapping.
Period. So yeah, one Joe is dead. We still got one to go. And boy howdy.
Ooh.
We have an
Is this the
exciting week
cycle
ahead
that
of
we're
us.
about to fucking talk about. We
Like,
got
I'm in
a
this
good
one.
one, boys.
We're continuing our
Uh,
little evil trilogy week as we go from Poison Week into Dark Week this time.
And it's
And-
dark-sided for many people.
And the light is at the end of the tunnel because in just 48 hours, give or take, the Bouth block will be dead.
Thank God.
In real time, it's already over. It's gone. But it did not leave without causing a few headaches
No.
for our cast one last time.
Yeah, if y'all thought the Derek round was bad, strap in, baby, because this one just takes that and cranks it up to like a 10, I think. So, where to begin? We'll begin
We
with
kick
HOH.
off with touchy subjects, as this time is known as all your
Yes.
deepest, darkest secrets.
Yes. So basically, all the trainers are doing touchy subjects and kind of assigning types to different trainers. So it's like fire type is who's a hothead. Poison type is like who's really toxic. Ice type is like who like gives you the cold shoulder and is like
Who's the driest responder?
super
Yeah.
frosty. Yeah. All of that basically. Just kind of a fun way to present and theme touchy subjects. So we did it in 2 rounds. So we gather all the answers from them, and then we give them the questions again with the answers, like the options, basically like a multiple choice. It's the way that I like doing it because I like seeing people's reactions to like who was selected for each ones. And then trying to like mind game it based off of that. And Cody in his first one, so if it was a normal touchy subjects, Cody would have won. He got like 11 out of 12 right. If we were just doing like majority rules, like one list and you're done. He goes in with that and then does even better and gets a literal perfect score in this
I
competition.
don't think I've ever seen that type of perfect score in this format that we've created until
No,
now.
especially this format, but like period. I don't think I've ever seen a perfect touchy subject score.
I've seen some in like Wider Orc Survivors, but I've never seen any in our world, part of the world, and that's what matters.
So Cody just like fucking crushes it and knocks it out of the park.
And Nicole trails behind with her little 9 out of 12, which is still impressive, but when you have Cody over here,
a 9 out of 12 would probably be a winning
that
score
wins
in
most
just about every other scenario. But yeah, since Cody just does so well, Nicole comes in second and wins her second HOH in a row.
To Cody's credit, again, one of the few things that goes well for Cody this cycle, one of the very few things, is that he manages to walk out of touchy subjects with a perfect score, and not one person mentioned it. Like, not one person was like, oh, he's going to be a huge jury threat. He knows everybody.
Well, not only that,
no one gave a fuck.
He got a perfect score and wasn't the answer to any of the questions.
Yeah.
I know. That was the other insane thing.
Yeah.
And no one talked about it.
Like, Donnie was like, oh, I got out of here with no options. And Donnie didn't even think, neither did Cody. And Cody got a 12 out of 12. Like,
yeah.
And honestly, it hasn't been super talked about. Like, the person talking the most about how this blows up Cody's threat level is Alex in the spec.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
She's talking about it more than the house guest.
That's what Alex saying. Like, if I saw a 12 out of 12, I'd go beat their ass.
Yeah.
And
well, it's a good thing Alex isn't in there with Cody then, because ain't nobody else give a fuck.
which is wild, but I think they all have more pressing matters going on right now with the Battle of the Block
True.
twist than Cody being a huge jury threat.
And props to Cody because he clearly has like his finger on the pulse of what is going on. So if he wanted to, he could have easily thrown it and just picked like half the wrong answers. But much like what we talked about last cycle, he was like, okay, cycle like final 8, half the house is going to be nominated. Like shit could go sideways very quickly. I want to win HOH cycle 8 so that I can be safe. And so if someone does get fucked over, which they do, it's not Cody and Cody's safe. So like I really props to him for that part.
Yeah, this whole 2-cycle arc for him, because we'll talk about it, even with him going and nominating Jocasta at the end and making that strategic decision. Like this was, even though it ended up being very bad for Cody in terms of like long-term situation, this 2-week arc for him was actually very good for him as a player, like strategically and socially. He made his way through it in a very succinct and impressive way for being in the position he was put in my opinion.
Yeah. Because I will say, I think there's plenty of merit to someone just going into a season of something, be it Survivor or Big Brother or whatever, any kind of strategy game, and them just playing from the top and being in the dominant position and never facing any adversity. There's plenty of merit in that. And like, good for you for being able to fully like steamroll and dominate a season. Like, that's very impressive. But I think it's even more impressive if there's a player that can play from the top and play from the bottom and be able to be in that dominant position and do well, but then also like have shit go sideways and still be able to bounce back and like play well from that spot as well. I think that's what makes a truly like well-rounded player.
To be fair,
I agree, and I've always, in terms of like jury votes, when it's like what's more impressive, the person who was untouchable or the person who was able to like recover from being touched, I'm always a little more impressed by the person who like had the struggle, because if they were able to bounce back for that successfully, that shows that they have certain skills that the other person didn't, at least at the very least, didn't get to showcase, whether or not they have them.
Yeah. To be honest and transparent though, I don't really feel like Cody's had to play from the bottom this season, but we'll see about it going forward. But he has had more go wrong, even if it is his own alliance's doing. For a few of those times, he has had more go wrong that way, but we'll get there. But Nicole is our other HOH, so our 2 HOHs for our last Battle of the Block round end up being Cody and Nicole.
Yeah.
Nicody born again.
Yeah, Nicody born again. And they kind of hit the ground running. They go into the HOH room and they're like, let's iron this shit out. Cody immediately wants to backdoor Hayden. Like, that's the number one thing he wants to do in his mind. And Nicole is like, how about no? How about we don't do that? Because Nicole and Brittany have this little side combo where they conclude that they want to keep Hayden for at least this cycle, because Hayden is going after Cody and Jocasta first and foremost. Hayden has good relationships with both Nicole and with Brittany. He's not coming after them first, so why would they want to get him out? Which is a very good read and accurate. With the way this cycle is formatted and with Battle of the Block being this late into the game, as ridiculous as it is, like, it's the reality. So we have to work with it. Brittany is like, Nicole, if you want to and are comfortable with it, I want to be nominated. And I want you to nominate me. That way I can win safety through Battle of the Block, and then I'm okay. I will not be mad at you. In fact, I'm encouraging you to do it at this very moment.
Yeah.
And this really turns into like everybody's kind of like jumping at the chance to like be an initial nominee before Battle of the Block, because they want to be able to save themselves. Donnie is doing it. Amber wants to be put up next to Hayden so that they can win their safety, because Hayden's good in comps too. Hayden wants to be nominated to win safety. Brittany volunteers. Like, it's going across the board.
Yeah, basically everyone except Victoria is like, please put me on the block. That way I have at least 2 chances of safety.
Yeah.
Because with Battle of the Block, and then even if you lose, you still automatically get to play in veto. Because we're at Final 8, there are still people that can not get drawn to play veto. So if you're not a nominee, you also don't have a chance to save yourself in veto.
Yeah.
And then you're like one of two options to go on the block. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everyone was like, oh my God, put me up. It was such an odd dynamic to see. Because usually you don't ever see that happening, but everybody was like,
not that
"Please
early."
put me on the block."
Yeah. And it was funny because Amber and Nicole talked, and Nicole like agreed to put Amber up next to Hayden. And Amber was like, great, thanks, girl. And then when Brittany does it later, and obviously Nicole is gonna choose Brittany over Amber. So when Nicole does nominate Hayden and Brittany instead, Amber's like pissed that she didn't get nominated.
Yeah.
Amber's like, wait, this isn't what we fucking agreed on. Like, what the hell?
Well, because she does get nominated, right?
He was not nominated with Hayden. Which
Yeah,
is her
but she
ticket to
wanted
safety.
nominated
yeah,
by Cody.
she wanted to be nominated with Hayden so that they could win their safety. So Cody wants to backdoor Hayden. Nicole and Brittany are like, what if we don't though?
So Nicole puts like her two favorite allies on the block.
Yeah,
because they want
But
Hayden
Cody-
to stay so he can
Yeah.
target Cody later and not target them. But that's also been out the door by now.
Which Cody kind of clocks in his DR at one point. He's like,
Yeah, but
it's frustrating that we can't backdoor Hayden, but I get that like they probably know that Hayden's coming for me and Jocasta, not for Brittany and Nicole. And I was like, clock the
he
T,
was like,
sis, clock the T.
Brittany we did derail Brittany's HOH, so I guess it's only fair that she slightly derails mine.
Yeah, Cody, self-aware and
I
understanding
know.
of his allies
That was
for
like,
the first time in the entire game. I was
I know.
I was so proud of our little boy.
Yeah,
I was like,
Vulgar
oh my
guy.
God.
it was a very good moment of self-reflection. Cody is like, well, I mean, I'm still not going to nominate Hayden because I still want to backdoor him. I was like, but if Nicole puts him up after me, like, what the fuck can I do about that?
Can't do shit, yeah.
So Cody's like, okay. And kind of a thing that's been a little unreported by us in the last couple episodes, but Donnie has been puckering up and kissing Cody's ass like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
He's
Basically
licking that
since-
chocolate starfish.
Literally, yeah. Basically, since Zach got the boot, Donnie
Chocolate
has like
starfish
snuggled up to Cody and is trying to do every possible thing to get on Cody's good side. And honestly, it completely saves Donnie this cycle for doing it. So like massive props. Obviously,
Yeah.
I doubt he had the intention of it being as grand as it was, but he still did it and it worked. So because of this relationship, Cody's like, I'm not going to nominate Donnie like up front to begin with. I don't want to do that. So Nicole and Cody kind of like meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, I guess we can backdoor Donnie, which is like kind of out of nowhere, but
Which Cody doesn't want, but it's like, well, it's either Donnie, Nicole, or Jocasta. And at this point, Jocasta's his ride or die. And him and Nicole just made a deal. So he's like, yeah, I really don't want to nominate either of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That is something. Cody and Nicole make this deal of whoever nominees end up winning, and then who the other one will become the dethroned HOH. That in the event that the veto gets used by a non-nominee and they have to put someone else up, and there's like two options, that they won't put each other up as the HOH or like dethroned HOH. They strike that deal before they put their nominees up. Just so that way it's like clean and simple.
Yeah.
Which was a good move by both of them to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
But Cody, at this point in time, fully intended on breaking that deal if Donnie had won the veto because Jocasta's his ride or die. And spoiler alert, when that happens, he's locked for like, of his 24 hours, he was locked in on that for like at least 12 of those hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, they meet in the middle and hatch this whole idea of, okay, well, as long as Donnie doesn't get picked and wins veto, we should be fine. And we can control what happens and it'll be all good. So they go into nominations and Cody is like, okay, I guess I'll target Amber. Because she's like
Cody wants the
playing...
noms to stay the same.
Yeah, because she's like playing the middle and she's like this big social threat. So I guess Amber's my target, but he's not really feeling it 100%.
No.
Just because like he is kind of put in this position where even if he wants to, like he can't really get done what he wants to happen. So
especially because he has Amber sitting next to Victoria.
Yeah.
Who is kind of the last person left for him to nom, which is kind of funny because we talked about that. Literally everybody else in the cast is begging to be nominated, and Victoria is like, no, you know,
La da da
well,
da
rather
da.
Also,
she's just not present to even plead. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
think they
have
were
a
waiting for her to
opinion.
nom, and then oh yeah, this is also important. Team Rocket, they had their mission, which was make BB comics for half the house, which was spilling over from last week. I gave them a week to like make them and spread everything throughout the week. And Nicole was like dumping them in the house chat and the one-on-ones in the HOH room. And Cody runs back to his DR and is like, "Oh, Nicole's in Team USA with all these fucking comics." And I'm like,
yeah.
"Okay, well, at this point, no, who really?
Damn.
He doesn't even give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck. Like he's
No,
just like,
no
yeah,
one
sure."
cares. No one give a fuck about Team Rocket.
Exactly.
Like that's the
Victoria.
correct take. Like
Except for
Yeah.
the two people that very much give a fuck about Team Rocket.
But yeah, and then Donnie is also like nodding his head as everyone's like, "Oh, you're keeping me safe? Thanks." But he's in his DR like, "This is bullshit. If they wanted to keep me safe, they'd give me 2 chances at safety," which is
Yeah.
crazy
Which
that
honestly,
someone, yeah, he clocked them, and it was very the dynamics of this week are where someone's like suspicious that they left off the block and almost annoyed that they left off the block,
yeah.
and he's like, "Yeah, this is a plan. They're gonna renom me."
Props to Donnie from even like that early in the cycle being able to clock that and
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
exactly what's happening because a lot of other people wouldn't be able to do that.
And if
So,
he hadn't done that, the whole cycle might have been different. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah. So
Yeah. So
already
Battle
with
of the
the
Block.
cycle,
Oh,
Donnie's game with like his relationship with Cody and being able to clock the back door that is looming over him, like he's already showing
yeah.
that he is going well.
I mean, yes, it is a plus for Donnie. I do want to mention this though, that Donnie has just been so consistently paranoid. You could have picked up the sentences he said in his DR about not trusting him to not backdoor him or something and plopped it in like cycle 4 through 7. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Donnie has just kind of consistently played this like super uber paranoid, like always looking out for the plot against him kind of character, which again here actually ends up being to his benefit, but he's kind of been doing that the whole season, just as a as a side note.
So yeah, everything goes through. Cody begrudgingly nominates Amber and Victoria, and Nicole nominates Brittany and Hayden. With the plan of Brittany and Hayden kind of just steamrolling over Amber and Victoria in the competition. And that's exactly
And
what happens. So
That's
honestly, okay, so we're going into the final battle of the block. It was the black box in real life. We kind of took a spin on that with our like 800th silhouette identifying competition of the season with inventory check.
I love inventory
And
check.
I
It
love
was
inventory
fun
check.
last season, and I liked it here
Yeah.
too.
And the rules of inventory check in a partner form are that one person can see the room and has to like figure out what to tell the person. The other person has to do the commands. However, Victoria and Amber go first, and Victoria is doing it backwards. So she is trying to figure out what Amber sees, and she does figure it out, and then does the command. And is like, wait, should I have done that or should you have done that, Amber? And Amber's like, oh, I do it. And they're like, okay. And I'm not paying the most attention at that time. I look back, I make a snide comment about I'm not thinking about it. Then I'm like, wait. And the Jackson comes on like, she should not be doing that. And I'm like, I'm not gonna stop them because they're like still doing it the round that they have the answers for. They continue to not only do but struggle
Yeah, that
while
was my
having
thing
the
about it.
answer.
Victoria was literally sent the answer of what Amber was supposed to see, and she can see all of the shapes. So she was literally sent the outline of the shapes that she can see fully in this other channel.
She didn't. She
She
did use
still
the honor
took.
system. She didn't look. I believe she didn't look, but it was like the
I believe
consistency of, like,
she didn't look too because
she
she
didn't
still
look
took
as a
20
random
minutes.
one.
Because she still took 20 minutes on that round to get it right. But like, Jesus, girl.
Yeah, so I was gonna let them pass, but I was like, okay, you know what, precedent, whatever. They did break the rules, have to be disqualified after a time of like 40 minutes, anyways. And Victoria's like, please, can we do a redo or something? I'm like, no,
No.
I'm sorry. And then I'm like, maybe Hayden and Brittany will disqualify. They didn't.
Yeah, not only did they not get themselves disqualified, but they had about a fourth of the time. So there's that. So Yeah.
Brittany and Hayden come off the block, and Nicole is
Yeah.
dethroned.
Nicole's
The final
dethroned again.
dethrone.
For the second
I
week.
thought we were going for another deja vu moment here, honestly, with the Nicole dethroned backdoor.
I
type
know.
thing.
It was looking bad.
It
Like,
was close.
It
It
was
I
was
sent a
like,
voice note where I
close.
was like, two things are always inevitable in Big Brother Rewind 16. Nicole will win HOH, be backdoored, and get dethroned, and then she will win the battle back. Because my money on her was to win the battle back.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Probably
for
would have
sure.
bet on her too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And she's like been winning the same HOHs that Nicole won in real life. So like these parallels are crazy.
that's true. It's like fate was trying to get her.
I still
Um,
I
and-
still think that was a South moment though, because that's kind of what was expected to happen.
That's what they wanted.
Yeah,
it was just
they wanted
it went south with the veto draw. That's
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
things hit
but
the
the
fucking
outcome of the
fan.
Battle of the Block was what they had kind
That's
of
true. That's what
planned.
everyone assumed what would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get to the
Anyway.
veto draw. Victoria gets house guest choice. You would think she picks her number one Donnie, which is what I thought happened because I'm doing the veto draw.
Like, even if it's
So
not
the
her
co-
number one, it's the only way to make sure that one of the other
Right.
side goes on the
So
block.
color me
Yes.
surprised when I finished posting the comp and everything. I click down to read submissions. I see choose Donnie Hayden. Donnie. So not only does it pick Donnie, she's like, you know what? 2 out of 3. Choose Donnie Hayden. Gets Hayden. Choose Donnie Hayden. Donnie. She's like, all right, I picked Donnie. And I'm like, okay, cool. But lucky for Victoria, the bot answers her wishes and gives her Hayden in the veto as next pick. And then Amber gets house gets choice, but she's not awake, so we re-roll it, and it lands on between Brittany, Cody, and Jocasta, and Nicole, the 4 people who've all been capable of winning stuff that aren't named Hayden. But it lands on Jocasta, the least capable of those 4. Because if
What
Cody's
did
got
she
it,
think was gonna happen if she picked Hayden and Hayden won, used it on somebody, probably her, I think, because Hayden's
I don't even think he
Amber
would've.
at this point.
I don't think he would have. I don't even know if he would have used it because he knows Donnie goes up. He likes
It's
Donnie
even
more.
worse.
Yeah,
Like
Hayden doesn't
she
use it.
didn't think.
Home because of a bot. Like, she would have gone home if Hayden had won.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And if not her, then Donnie would have gone home.
And
Yeah, if
literally,
Hayden had not gotten picked, if she picked Hayden and Donnie wasn't then re-rolled on the next 2 picks, it's down bad.
like, I mean it when I say every single person, the other 7 people in the game had already had the conversation about 3 times over at this point that if Donnie gets picked for veto and wins, it's like doomsday.
Or
Like,
good, depending on who
Everyone
you are.
knows the people that it benefits in, like Hayden and I guess for
Donnie.
Hayden and Donnie, like
I
know
guess
it
Amber,
and are
kind of.
hoping it happens. The people that it will like go Armageddon mode for in like everyone else is like, this can't happen. It is only Victoria that seems to just be like floating off in her own little world. Like, well, my 2 closest allies, I guess I'll let Tatsu pick which one gets to play.
Well, to her credit.
No.
Okay.
No.
I think
Nor.
some of this fault does land on Hayden and Donnie for not having this conversation like with their allies of like, hey guys, this is our game plan going into it. I
To be
think
fair, they didn't have that much time. It was like
When have
9
they ever once game played or did any strategic talks with Victoria other than Victoria vote like this? Okay.
They didn't talk about it before the veto happened. And when the veto happened, they couldn't say throw to Donnie at that point because it was
I
against the rules,
know.
which is what the veto was. Which we
But
can get
I'm
into, yeah.
just
So we
saying
have. Oh, go ahead.
before, like,
Yeah.
I mean, like Jackson said, it's been talked to death 3 times over before the Battle of the Block results were even announced. Like everyone had already been talking about this.
Yeah. Just
So we
lump sums.
have It's Not a Phasing Bot as our 9th veto competition, which is a classic 1-season classic that we plucked over from Rewind Your Games.
Woo.
I think it was perfectly placed in the season. Maybe we didn't need the trading element, but you know what? It gave us drama. We can't undo it now, anyways. It doesn't really matter. But boy, just poked in this competition brought such controversy with Nicole and Brittany sitting out. Nicole read us the riot act. It was a moment where I'm like, girl, you guys have had
And who
literally every
didn't give a
single
fuck?
every single HOH. And yeah,
No
you guys
one
were
gave
my,
a fuck.
but you had all the numbers, and I was getting heated. I'm like, don't say it's unfair. Like, hello. And yeah, she was unhappy with the competition being what it was and all the trading and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, girl, there are 4 people in your alliance and 4 people not. It's 50-50. Like, the odds is more in your favor. Like, I'm sorry. But yeah, they can't they can't strategize or anything, communicate, whatever. They have to compete, go with their gut, and that's competition. You do one of these 9 tasks for 6 tasks for varying points. You get those points, you distribute those points. Whoever gets the most points wins.
Yeah.
And Jocasta has the big brained idea of like, okay, the main priority is to make Donnie lose. And I think Hayden is going to win. So I'm going to give my points to Hayden because that'll maybe push him over the edge for Donnie. Whereas Donnie is like, I want to win. However, I also need a nom to lose. So Donnie also registers that giving this to Hayden might not be the greatest thing. So he's going to give it to Cody instead. Cody is not thinking any steps ahead besides what is directly in front of him. And he doesn't want, to be fair, he doesn't want Donnie out. So I get why he wasn't thinking that. He was like, I'm just going to do this, give it to Jocasta. He does that. And then Amber, who did not fully read the rules, where it says you have 10 minutes to do as many tasks as you can, goes one by one and spends an hour doing
And I
task.
feel bad because I'm watching it
Queen.
happen in real time, and I'm like, should I tell her to stop? Should I tell her to stop? And all I could hear was Shane's voice in the back of my head being like, she could still DQ if she doesn't stop her timer. It's not over until she stops her timer. It says to go until you say stop. So I was like, well, she hasn't said stop. And I
Hearing
didn't, to be
Professor
fair, I
Oak's
didn't
voice
think
in
it was
your
going to take
head.
her an entire hour. It took her like 20 minutes just to do like the word surge. Like the crossword took her far too long. I did not expect any of that. So
But
I did
yeah,
not
Amber,
think, but it was the voice of Shanks in the back of my head telling me to be an asshole host.
Iconic.
There was a time when I thought that Amber was really competent in challenges and that she could very realistically win herself to the end
I
and
remember that.
destroying things.
yeah.
I don't think that anymore.
We take it back. We
Yeah,
retract that statement.
I'm rescinding that statement because
She can't win for shit.
she really can't.
Yeah.
Like, this was
Yeah.
bad. And I think I said maybe a total of like 4 times after she finished her run, did you read the instructions? And
She
she said
didn't.
no every time.
At least she's honest.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
true.
she only gets 3 points, but because she went incredibly over the time, she gets them cut down to 1.5,
She should have gotten
which
negative
she
points.
which she
Fair.
elects to give to Hayden because she knows if Donnie wins, Nicole might go up, and she doesn't want that to happen. And then yeah, Victoria gets 0. Hayden goes in, and he locks the fuck in.
Yeah.
However, he locks in just a few milliseconds too slow
Oh, it
and goes
so bad.
from 14 down to 7. However, his 7 was still the single best
Yeah.
anyone did. And
Yeah.
him throwing them onto Donnie didn't, but he just changed how much Donnie won by. And so Hayden throws them onto Donnie because he knows Donnie wins. He plucks someone off, and Nicole Jocasta goes up. And that's exactly what he does. So Donnie wins because of Hayden.
Yep.
And not to give that, Donnie also did one of the hardest tasks by himself, which I will give him credit for, because Cody only got 2, Donnie got 6, Hayden got 7. Like that's a beat up for Hayden as much as for Donnie. I'm giving that to them in my head, but
Oh,
so yeah, Donnie clutches up the veto thanks to Hayden. I gave everyone their zings. Cody's
Yep.
gay. Nicole's
Right.
single forever. Victoria is
Yeah.
disqualified. Brittany is cold and boring. Jocasta can't win a comp. Amber is lost.
Jocasta was just
Donnie
HOH.
is clueless.
Yeah, I will say
I didn't write that zing.
that
Did
thing
I?
kind
I
of
don't remember.
flopped because Jocasta literally won HOH the week before.
I didn't write the zing, man. I don't think I did that one. Regardless, she doesn't look at her scores in the last
That's
HOH
true.
and the battle.
No, yeah, no, that's very true. She's very bad at pretty much everything else.
Okay, but to give her some credit, I will say I think Jocasta attempting to get Hayden the veto.
Yes, that was Galaxy Brain.
That
was a good call, I thought, on her part.
Great move. It was her best move.
Yeah, and we were all shocked for a minute. We didn't even get it at first. I'm like, oh wait, that makes sense. She's like, "Do you guys get my thought?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm with you, girl."
Yeah, she really ate that one up.
Cody
Rest
didn't.
of the things, Donnie's clueless. Donnie's clueless, and Hayden was forgetful because I could not think of a thing for this man. I really couldn't. But like, I just couldn't.
Hayden Truther
So,
stand up. Hayden
You know, that
Truther
is-
stand up.
That is really interesting that for as big and dynamic as Hayden has been on the season, it's kind of been like,
and Brittany, they got ding for being
I will
boring 'cause they don't
say,
talk in their
in
fucking DRs.
general, like this is one of our strongest casts I think overall we've had in a while. Besides, like obviously, like second chances because that's like stilted. But like for such a distinguishable, like interesting, dynamic, fun cast, they were really hard to zing, and that's why a lot of them
Yeah.
didn't really land because
And
it
they're
was just
not
kind of like,
DRing, so we can't like.
yeah, there's no like memes or jokes to make. Like that's kind of why
Like
we
we
wanted
wanted to
like,
say
okay, what
Victoria
would
was in the
Jakarta
dark,
have to
but we
pray
can't
for? What
I
like,
didn't want to
yeah.
like say, "Oh, Victoria's so lost in the game," whereas we could with Donnie because he didn't even know that Zingbot was gonna be the Zing,
yeah,
and he didn't even realize that the Zings happened because he was drunk on Monday afternoon.
at 3 p.m. or whatever.
But it was
Iconic,
Easter. It
honestly.
was
I would
Easter,
be
and it was
too,
April
that
Fools. Zingbot and April Fools. That's like we love the timing. Go
The
you.
Oh my
timing
God.
of that was like amazing. I could not believe that was actual, like that happened that way.
Yeah.
We got really lucky with that. I love
That
that.
was very good.
So Donnie
Absolutely.
wins the power of veto, and all hell breaks loose when it comes to the soccer moms. Because this was their doomsday scenario, and it has happened. We're here. Donnie will be using the veto. He's not sure which one on either Amber or Victoria, but he sees this as like the prime opportunity to fuck up that alliance, and that's what he wants to do. He's initially leaning towards Amber. Amber has been like his more recent like number one in the game. Pretty much after Zach got the boot, Amber kind of scooped him up. So he's leaning
I think
towards.
he did have Victoria 1 and 2 on TRs
Yeah.
though.
It is a good
that
it is a good read though, because Amber has him at number one, and let's be real, like Amber is a much more valuable ally, both in terms of like being a shield and ability to win competitions. So I do think it was actually the right instinct of his to save Amber.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's his like gut reaction. Like, I want to save Amber, but he wants to make sure that he makes the right move. And this is like he sees this as like a very important like crossroads in the game, which I think it is.
Mhm.
So he wants to make sure he makes the right decision. So he gets to talking with both Amber and Victoria, and he makes an alliance with Amber, Victoria, and Hayden.
And he gets the conversation going, but Victoria makes it. Victoria requests it. 'Cause I
Oh.
remember
Did
actually
make
being
the
like, "Look
line.
at her proactive queen." And then like I went to her one-on-one with
Doesn't talk
Donnie, and
in
he
it.
was like, "Yeah, we should make an alliance. Do you want to go ahead and request that?" And I was like, "Well, never mind."
But this is the first time we actually have an alliance of those people.
Yeah.
Nicole's
The
been
Blue
like, "Oh,
Brigade
they're
has never
so
been-
united." Nicole
Yeah.
was like in her DR, like, "They're so united," exactly like we thought they were. Like she picked Donnie for veto. Meanwhile, a bot picked Donnie for veto. Like it's
so
just like
funny.
it's so funny. Like
All of this
they
And
is
did not have an
happening.
alliance chat yet.
We're
It's
not with
just
Amber.
so
Amber's
funny.
with them. Meanwhile, Amber is more with y'all than with them. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Amber
this
is
the
a true
first
middle though.
real alliance that is made of the Blue Brigade that has Victoria and Amber together. So many other sub alliances, but never this alliance of all of them.
Mhm.
They were mainly built around Joey and Hayden and built around Zach and Donnie, but never
Yeah.
like Victoria and Amber never really had that much together. And now this is like okay. But now, spoiler alert, with Joey being back, there's still not a chat of all 5 of them.
5 of them.
And that's been the case like this whole season.
Yeah.
Like Shield has been this solid, obviously other than Zach, but he died pretty quick.
Yeah.
But like
R.I.P.
soccer moms, like Shield, that side
3
has-
winners and a fun gal.
Yeah, 3 winners and a fun gal plus Jocasta. 3 winners, a fun gal, and Jocasta. Has been this like lockstep, like
Yeah.
solid alliance. And
Come on,
even
Pasta.
if it's been the case where they don't have the numerical majority against the other side of the other side of the house has been like all doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And
So
they can't win a comp for shit unless it's a veto or an HOH that gets derailed.
yeah. So these 5 people that are all on the same page and good in comps and are working towards the same goals are just vastly like overpowering these like 6 or 7 people that are all trying to do their own thing.
Yeah.
So it's gotten to the point. So this is really the first time where all of the people outside of that group have banded together and been like, we have to do something about this. And even then, Amber doesn't even really want to. So like,
No, and it takes there literally only being two options from the three winners of Fun Gal and Jocasta for this to happen.
Yeah.
Like it takes like literally doomsday scenario. There is no other choice
Yeah.
than one of these like shield members to go on the block for them to actually like band together to be like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, and even then, Amber was working to get herself removed
And
off
then
the
Not to
block,
get
Victoria.
and then
yeah.
vote out Victoria anyways. So
yeah.
like,
So yeah, this is what happens. Donnie initially tells Amber, "I think I'm going to use it on you," and Amber's talking to Hayden. Like Hayden's like, "Well, I hope he uses it on you." Da 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 da. And Amber, and then he's like, "Hey, Amber, what's your thoughts on the vote after this if you come off?" And Amber, I don't think Amber realized this was like a bad thing because she does have an alliance with Hayden and
Yeah.
Brittany and Nicole.
Yeah,
That
and she
is like
trusts
her
Hayden,
stock.
actually. Amber had
Yeah,
trusted Hayden at the beginning of this cycle pretty
which is weird because he had
substantially.
him low on the trust rankings because of the Joey stuff, but she still had him high in the general. It was her trust rankings are weird,
Yeah.
They
but yeah,
are.
she like was like she was locked. Her choice was lockstep with Banana Rams. That's what Amber wanted. So she tells it to Hayden. It's like, yeah, if Nicole goes up, honestly, I might vote out Victoria, but I can see the pros and cons of both. And Hayden is like, I don't like that. So he goes and
Mm-mm.
runs over to Donnie and it's like, hey, scratch that. I think you should use it on Victoria because I trust her vote more than I trust Amber's vote. And
Which is
Donnie's,
correct.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's the correct thing. And Donnie's like, okay, and goes and walks it back to Amber. But Amber also tries to walk it back to Hayden when she realizes that they want Nicole out. She's like, okay, wait, never mind. Me, I can see the pros and cons, but Hayden's already taken it and ran with it at that point. And then Donnie walks back to Amber and is like, okay, I'm gonna say Victoria instead. For whatever excuse, I forgot what he gave her. She didn't believe it because what she did was go and run to Nicole and be like, hey, I fucked up. I was
Yeah.
gonna come off. Then I told them that I wanted you to stay. And then 10 minutes later, Donnie said, I'm not coming off the block anymore. And so I think Hayden leaked. And now Nicole is like, oh, that's not good.
because
So yeah,
Nicole has a much better chance at staying against Victoria than she does Amber. So that really was, and I will give credit to Amber. She did immediately be like, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that."
Yeah, she
Yeah.
recognized 100% like the moment it happened. But that gave Nicole time to
to
then
cook.
go to Cody
Yeah,
and start her campaign.
yeah, because now it's
Yeah.
shifted to Donnie's locked in. He's gonna use it on Victoria.
Yeah,
So
the other side, like
now,
Jocasta and Cole, like, let's guilt Donnie, let's make him not use it. Meanwhile, he's all like, who
yeah,
did I use it on?
yeah,
Like that, they were dead in the
Costa
water.
and Cody are like 3 steps behind at
They're
this.
still believing Donnie after he's burned them 1,000 times over,
Cody
whatever.
was at the very least like trying to tell Jocasta, don't lay it on too thick, don't do too much. Like he's not going to listen to us
Meanwhile,
if it's
Jocasta's over here
coordinated.
giving
And also, why is he going to listen to
nonsense.
you of all people? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like
So
I don't think anything else. Donnie uses on Victoria, and now it's the renom roulette. Basically,
yeah.
there's nothing
So
else to
now it
talk about
goes,
there.
the main like drama goes from who Donnie's going to use the veto on. That's locked in. He uses it on Victoria. Victoria's off the block. So now we shift over to this like battle for Cody's decision basically between
It's the
Costa,
fucking Bachelor, and they're going for its final rose,
yeah,
basically.
between
Literally.
Costa and Nicole.
Mhm.
And
Kojo versus Nikoti, who's gonna
And
win?
it is sudden death. Like they both know if they hit the block, they're gone.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
essentially.
especially now that Amber's the one that's staying.
Yeah, because at this
Right.
point in time, we had thought Nicole was dead in the water
Mm-hmm.
because she had two chances of being safe. Number one was if Hayden, like if the Vox says Nicole versus Amber, and we think Hayden might favor Nicole because he has her higher on trust rankings over Amber. But then Hayden's like, am I about to 3-2 Nicole? So that's out the door.
Yeah.
Second step is Donnie vetoing Amber by mistake and Amber keeping Nicole. And then that gets thrown out the window because Amber screwed the pooch a little bit. And
Yeah.
so Nicole's last chance at guaranteed safety, because she will go home at this point if she's on the block,
Yep.
is to sell herself to Cody as the best dang ally that he can have at this point.
Yeah.
Especially with him being unable to play 2H and Costa being unable to win something that isn't thrown to her.
Yeah.
She
the-
won an HOA.
Nicole-
Well, that was under her. You're right.
And
But the best
honestly,
part is
yeah.
the best part is Jocasta coming to Nicole of all people and being like, "I think
Yeah.
we really need to go with whoever's going to be best in the battle back."
And Nicole's like, "You're
goes straight
not
towards
pitching
PR.
me
Like, you're pitching me
myself right
to me.
Yeah, that was
Be
really
for
That
real.
was insane behavior.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, Jacosta's
Nicole
like all about
has-
assuming her safety, but still like kind of talking to like
Because it gave Nicole,
Yeah.
she knew exactly what argument she had to work against, and she went straight to
Yeah.
Cody and was like, "I don't think we should base it based off the battle back, especially with
back.
like Caleb and Zach
Caleb and
competing
Zach in
and
there, yeah.
Yeah.
It really helped her actually.
Yeah, and Nicole is given the task of convince. Obviously, she doesn't know this fully.
Mhm.
People know Cody and Jocasta.
she's like suspicious. She's like, Cody and Jacosta are really we made a deal, but they're really close. I don't know if he's gonna stick to it. She said that to Brittany like a verbatim or something.
Yeah, but Nicole
she,
now
like,
has the task of
stomped on the
convincing
gas.
Cody to backdoor his number one ally from the beginning of the game.
From day
I
one.
will give Cody credit. He did mention this on his own when Jocasta was like, they were talking about the veto comps, like, who'd you give your chips to? And Cody was like, you the fuck. And she's like, oh, I gave it to Hayden. Like, why would you give it to Hayden? And she like kind of walked him through her thought process. He was like, Jacosta's kind of talking down to me, and I don't really like that. She's really off-putting, whereas Nicole and I, like, Cody and Jocasta were number ones, but I think Cody and Nicole had a better bond from my read of things. So that was another
Yeah,
factor.
they
He
got
says like
along
I just really
better.
like Nicole and I actually get along with her better despite like Jocasta being my number one. He
Yeah.
kind of talks himself through like not only the social reasons but also like competition wins and shields. Like there's literally actually like multiple benefits to keeping Nicole safe instead of Jocasta here. And I really appreciate that from him. Not just going blind loyalty. I mean, we love
Mhm.
loyalty and all that stuff, but somebody who's actually thinking something through strategically and being like, listen, like, this may not be my most valued ally, but if I keep my most valued ally around here, I don't have longevity in this game. And that's what I really respected about the move is how much thought he actually put into it. And he made the correct call despite it being literally the number one person on his trust rankings for, I'm pretty sure, the entire game.
Yeah, and it was and to be fair, it was more like a 1A versus 1B situation, and he was going to lose one of them either way. So I thought I'd echo Swan. I thought it was super impressive to see him be able to actually take a step back and think about it strategically of like what will actually get our group forward, like who has won actual HOHs, who is competent in competitions, because we're going to be, regardless of what happens, we're going to be in a situation where we're outnumbered most likely whenever the person comes back from the battle back. So we need to have a person here who's going to be able to win competitions reliably. And it was on top of like that I get along with and do all that kind of stuff. But I honestly, the real kicker that actually sent Cody into like, oh, like, because Cody's been talking about Jocasta being like off-putting to a lot of people basically the whole game ever since Shield was formed and Jocasta, because we had like cycle 2 where Jocasta really stepped it up and Shield got formed and she really put it into action after the first cycle kind of left her a little lackluster. Or I guess no, it was cycle 3, sorry, because Amber had nominated Jocasta at cycle 2. But anyway, after Shield is formed, Jocasta kind of sits back and rests on her laurels, and we have the Derek situation, and like all of this is going on. And Cody it's kind of been a running theme of Cody being like, oh, like Jocasta is really off-putting to people because the way she talks to people is kind of like wild. And in their like soccer moms chat, they're talking about it, and Jocasta literally is like, it's crazy to me because she's still giving people like smack when she's at danger of going on the block and going home. It's wild to me. And she's like, well, if Brittany hadn't refused to go up on the block with
Yeah,
anybody,
they were thinking about all the
we wouldn't
scenarios
be
that
in
they could
this.
have
We
not
wouldn't be
done,
in
and they're
this.
like, we can't deal with that now, Jocasta. We've got to focus
And
on the
again,
present.
she's not having the self-awareness about like the Derek cycle that Cody was having earlier, where it's like, oh, like she's basically being like they were against Jocasta, like, Jocasta, why did you have to be so selfish and demand that Derek go on the block? She's not thinking about the fact that she literally did the same thing or very similar, at least, to what happened.
To say at this point, Brittany is also like, Jocasta's not campaigning to me, and she's like, I'm so lucky that I'm immune because Cody would have put me up. And Cody's like, in his ear, like, damn it, I wish Brittany wasn't safe. This would be so easy for me. And so yeah, at this point, Brittany's also getting pissed off at Jakarta because he's like, Jakarta's about to go up and not campaigning to me. And when she is on the block, she's like, Jakarta's assuming she has my vote, not campaigning to me. And it just annoys Brittany so much.
We were just kind of covering like Cody's strategic ability to step back and assess that decision. But
Yeah.
I want to give just like
The flowers to
mountain,
Nicole.
a mountain
Yes.
credit to Nicole. She ate it up. Honestly, one of the most impressive moves I've seen in BB Rewind's history.
Oh,
Cody
yeah.
was hungry and she
Managing-
fed him. She fed him.
Yep.
She gave him
Yeah.
a 6-course
Of-
meal.
Managing to convince someone to backdoor their number one ally on the last cycle of Battle of the Block before a battle back.
Not just number one, like stated ride or die.
Ride
She
or
called
die
it,
final
and
two.
He died by his hand.
Wild. So
Can't
good.
write this stuff.
And it was the right move too. But again, so
Yeah.
it's like it's difficult because it's like I want to give Nicole so much credit, but I also want to give Cody so much credit of like being able to recognize that that's what he
He
also
sparked the thought on his own, and Nicole just eliminated
Exactly.
any doubts he
Yeah.
had.
I always say
It was
like,
like a
it
tandem
makes it
effort.
makes your campaign a lot easier when your campaign is actually the right choice for somebody.
Yeah.
And Nicole
Right.
had that on her side. And she's lucky she had Cody in a reasonable mood, because I think early game Cody might not have
Yeah.
made the same decision at
Mm.
all.
Like Nicole was going home for 12
And I do
of
think,
those
like,
24
honestly,
Renown
honestly,
hours.
it's like whatever she's done with I went into their one-on-ones to like read it, and they do like the Wordle and connections every day. Like
They have
it's
a better
all that
connection than Cody and Jocasta.
groundwork that she's been like building for so long, and it really paid off enormously.
I think Jocasta was his number one because he said that to her on day one, but like in an essence of like their bond, his number one was Nicole. Whereas I think she's the only twin between him and Brittany, but I think Cody's heart was always with Nicole in a sense of like, who do you really vibe with? Like in the nitty gritty of it all. She pitches her case successfully. And Cody hits Jocasta with the faded words you don't want to hear in an org. Hi. And she says immediately,
She
are
knew.
you putting me
In
up?
my pants, my stomach would drop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
She's like, are you putting me up? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, well,
For her
that's-
credit, for Jocasta,
She
who has
does not
not
give
taken a
up.
lot of things very well, she took it very well. She did like
She
campaign
did.
to Cody a bit, but I think
Yeah.
she kind of knew she was fighting a losing battle. Like if your number
Yeah.
one tells you they're putting up, like there's nothing she could say, because what she could be like, Cody, you're my number one, and he's gonna be like, I know. I'm still doing that. Like I knew that going into this decision. Like I think she understood the logic of it and knew that she couldn't fight against it. And she also maybe, I think to an extent, she kind of felt it was the right decision too. And this goes into her campaign upcoming, but I do think a part of her realizes that she, very small, but she has a slightly bigger chance of surviving than Nicole would have on the block.
Yeah.
100%.
So she goes up, and to her credit, she goes the fuck to work. She does not accept her death by any means.
Mm-mm.
Not, and I give Jocasta her flowers for that. She was a dead woman walking. She did not go down quietly. With novels and essays and pitches and speeches, some of it fed to her by Cody, some of it her going off script, leaking alliances and whatnot. But she
Lots of it
put
her
up a
going
fight.
off script.
to the point where I think Hayden was genuinely considering it,
Yeah.
which
Well-
is fucking saying something.
Well,
In his DR, he was like, should I actually like keep Jocasta here?
This vote was so annoying. It was so
well,
much
and that happens because Jocasta is on the block against Amber.
Remember?
Hayden already doesn't trust Amber because she's run all this stuff back to Nicole.
Yeah.
And so it's just, which is unfortunate for Amber because she thought she was allied with Hayden. So it's like a whole, it's kind of one of those weird mind fuck situations where she thought Hayden was working with her and Nicole and Brittany, and then he's actually kind of not doing that. It ended up being a bigger mistake for Amber than she really realized this cycle.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of really good campaigning going on. This was a great cycle for pitches in terms of BB rewinds, because they all really pitched their asses off over and over and over again.
At this point, Nicole and Brittany, who obviously have 2 votes, they just assume that Jocasta's going home. And with working with that information, they are like, well, I don't want to do any more damage to the game than I already am with like one of my close allies going home and basically this week like, flipping against us. So like I'm not gonna push like super hard. And Hayden has come into this wanting to fracture that group as much as physically possible. So he wants
a fucking 3-2.
Yeah,
He's like, whoever they
he
vote
wants
in
the
the
vote to be
opposition.
3-2 and him to be a part of the 3. That way, whoever does survive
Is
feels
mad
like
at Brittany.
shafted and slighted by the 2 people that tried to vote them out.
Also, Nicole and Brittany value Amber as an ally. Like they have alliances with her. That's somebody they've been working
Yeah.
on for a
They have a
while. And
trio.
so they're
Yeah,
like,
this comes in.
this is
Like a
already
trio.
like this is already a shitty situation. But if at the very least we can kind of like make Amber feel comfortable and locked in, like she knows we're with Jocasta, but we're still willing to vote Jocasta out to save her. Like,
Yeah. And
hopefully
it
that can
comes
work
back
in our favor.
comes back to Brittany like getting mad at Jocasta for like not campaigning, and that's Amber was putting in the work with Brittany. And
Mhm.
Jocasta was like assuming she has Brittany and fighting for Hayden, Donnie, and Victoria. And then Brittany was also like during the like renom debacle, she was like, if Cody and Jocasta put up Nicole, I'm flipping because I don't trust them. I trust
Mhm.
Nicole, and I don't want to work with them. I don't have no one to work with at that point. I'll be a free agent. And so she's very lucky. Cody's also lucky.
That was a
Yeah.
huge thing. Yeah, Cody
yeah.
had no idea that if he got rid of Nicole, he would literally only have Jocasta in this game, who is like not the most valuable of allies at this stage in the game.
Yeah, they don't
because
realize
she's not a
Nicole's the
shield for him.
glue of
She's
the
not
soccer
winning.
mom.
Like Brittany's not going to trust him. Like Amber's like already done with him. Like he would have just Jocasta and would have gone home probably next or as soon as he was
Yeah,
home.
like Cody,
Yeah.
literally Cody's entire game hinged on him
Hinged
making the
on
right
that.
move. And
And
like
he
there
did.
were parts of it he didn't even, it's like, I mean, it was for how much his HOH got pulled out from under him, like he really pulled through in the end and made the right moves for himself.
If
Yeah.
there were 3 reasons that he saved Nicole, in his mind, there were actually like 12 in reality. Like that's how much he needed to save Nicole.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
So he
Into
got
this
there
vote,
with the right
yeah.
decision. He did not have the bigger picture.
Yeah, he
And
doesn't realize how bad that could have been.
Yeah.
But lucky for him, he doesn't have to know.
And I do want to mention that Hayden, we talked about it, Hayden doing his best to absolutely fracture the
Good idea, bad execution.
It's
yeah.
also it's pissed. Amber's already pissed at him at this point because she clues in that he's leaked her stuff
And
and
he's
got
just
her
so obvious about
saved.
it too. I mean, I do think he was
Yeah.
actually considering keeping Jocasta at one point, so he really did like need to know whether or not Brittany and Nicole were interested, but just everything he did spooked them rather than make them actually consider. And I mean, partially that was just because they literally like could not wrap their mind around why the hell he would want to keep Jocasta.
Yeah, Brittany straight up said like
even
if
if
Hayden,
I was about to say, even if I believe Hayden that he might consider keeping Jocasta, that makes me want Jocasta out because I'm like, what the
did she
fuck
say to
did
him?
she
Like,
say?
Yeah.
Because she was also telling the truth based on her DR. She was like, "Yeah, if I stay and I get into it, I'm doing Nicole and Brittany, but I'm still gonna be with Cody unless I have to renom because I can't go back to them after they did it to me." And da 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 da. But like, she probably won't want to Twitter anyways. Looking at the score of this one, she got the worst score of everybody out of 10 people. She got last place.
Yeah.
Poor girl. Yeah.
If anything, it actually pushed Amber closer to Nicole and Brittany, I think.
Yeah.
As the
Amber doesn't trust Hayden anymore. Nicole doesn't trust Hayden anymore. Brittany doesn't trust Hayden anymore.
And none of them trust Hayden,
Yeah.
which is the exact opposite of what Hayden wanted to happen.
And he was just, because
Oh.
at this point, Hayden's also like, hey, Hayden and Donnie both like, hey, Nicole and Brittany, what are you guys doing? And they're like, I don't know, I'm not sure. Like, why are they waffling? Why won't they load my gun so I can
They tell
shoot them?
you, like, that's my thing is they're like, oh, they're waffling. And I'm like, yeah, of course they're not going to fucking tell you, like, for sure they want, like, Amber out or anything.
And Brittany
like,
said straight up, I didn't know I had a say in this vote. I'm gonna keep it a
that's what
buck.
I
Like,
appreciate about Brittany in this situation is she's literally like, I didn't think I had control. So like she's
the fuck
basically
does it
saying
matter
like,
what I
you guys are
want?
clearly all like working together. So I like you're not gonna do what I want.
Yeah, so between Hayden being obvious and Amber leaking in, Nicole clues in that Hayden is trying to force a 3-2. So her and Brittany are stonewalled. They don't give him anything, and Hayden's getting frustrated. Then he's like, at the end of the week, he's like, me thinks Nicole knows what I was trying to do. Oopsie. And I'm like,
And it's like, so it's like he's really channeling his inner Zach or something. Like it's not a
He's
good.
just being a little cheeky and fun. I mean, he doesn't like a little cheeky fun moment.
He's just getting too cute with it. Like you already got
because
away
they were
with
prodding
it.
like all night, and Brittany was
Eat
like,
it too,
I'm not
essentially.
taking this fucking
Yeah.
bullshit.
Like he's already getting
got
something
this
massively
alliance.
beneficial under the other side's HOH, and now he wants
Yeah.
it to like even more work in
You
his
know,
favor. And it's like,
you
baby
know.
girl, like calm down.
Pump the
But
brakes.
yeah,
a
because
little.
then Cody and Jocasta are also like, oh, I think you guys just have to vote that way because we can maybe get, you can get one of them, give her two so she can get the one. I'm like, bro, she's not getting the one. And
Yeah, and Brittany straight up says in the alliance, she's
Yeah.
like, I don't believe Hayden, and I don't think anything of what he's saying is to the benefit of me. So like, sorry, but I'm a victim of Costa.
Yeah. And Cody's like, we don't have Amber anyway. She's with them. Brittany's like, maybe you don't have Amber. I have Amber. I'm gonna keep
She
that.
literally says that
myself."
too.
Which harkens itself back to the rest of the season, to the Derek vote in particular, when they're like, we have Donnie, and Brittany says, you guys might have Donnie, but I don't have Donnie. And then it comes full circle with Cody and Jocasta being like, we don't have Amber. And she's like, you guys don't have Amber, but I have Amber.
I do.
You know, it was actually such a brilliant, like,
It really was like a full circle.
full
moment.
circle to
Yeah.
them forcing Brittany to backdoor or not backdoor, but get rid of one of her biggest allies in Derek on her own HOH. And then them forcing, well, they're not forcing, but them getting rid of Cody's number one ally, Jocasta, on his HOH. Like, it's all just like, a beautiful
Poetic.
poetic.
Yeah, at this point,
Brother
all the
Rewind.
votes are wiring down. Hayden, Brittany, it's like the votes do like 9 p.m. or something. It's like 8 or something. Hayden makes a chat with the two girls, and they're like, "Hey guys, what are we doing? Let's iron this out." And they're like, "Hayden, fuck off.
Shut the
We're
fuck
voting
up.
out.
Yeah,
We're
this is
voting
so
out
stupid.
Jocasta." And he was like, we're voting out Jocasta. Like, I hate the After all their efforts to push Amber, to pull Amber to them, it's pushed her more to the middle in like a grand sense, but reality, it's pushed her more closer to Brittany and Nicole, and they don't even realize that they've done it. So Amber is going to be the biggest blindside of the whole brigade right now.
Because I will say, Jocasta's campaigning was kind of like nuking Amber's game.
She leaked
Like
Capcom.
it kind of was
She
like,
leaked Shields,
yeah,
Takuma,
it was kind of putting Amber's game like in the dumpster. And by the time it went back around, kind of, Amber really did kind of like pull it together and is actually in a very
She
good
did.
Yeah. She was like, "Oh, I can't believe Nicole and Brittany are being so fake to me. Why are they being cagey? They're like feeding them the bullshit that they want to hear."
Yeah, she
And
made
so,
it
like,
work.
yeah, big ups to Amber because she was being tanked heavy, and she cleaned it up. And I have to give her my flowers. But yeah, at that point, they wrap up the votes after pushing the deadline because, of course, they did. And bye bye, Jocasta. To our Father art in heaven is where you have gone. We'll see you tomorrow for the battle back. Literally, she
You
came
know,
back in the house like 10 minutes later.
It's actually really difficult for me. I know we haven't gone there yet, but I guess this might be a good segue of trying to get into our MVPs.
Yeah.
Let's go.
MVPs for the week, just because this is a really difficult cycle for me to do that. And I know that's kind of a controversial take because I think I know literally the four of you are going to go with one person.
No, it's difficult for me too.
Yeah, because
No, I think Shinx is gonna do Nicole.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because like
I wasn't sure yet.
Donnie made great moves. Nicole was in danger, but she pulled like one of the ultimate BB Rewinds moves of all time this cycle of getting someone to backdoor their literal ride or die final two. You know what I mean? Like there was Hayden played super well until he didn't, because Donnie wouldn't even have won the veto if Hayden didn't do it himself, right?
Basically,
Donnie wanted to use it on the wrong person, and it was Hayden getting the info that actually made this happen versus Donnie doing it, because Donnie was going to use it on the wrong person and Victoria was going to go home, right? Like,
Also, can I add one thing? Like, I don't even think Donnie had clocked how important his winning POV was until he literally got handed it.
Yeah.
Because everybody else around him, like, Donnie
Yeah,
No,
he was like, I know I'm going up. I know I'm gonna be arena.
He wasn't in his DR. I don't think he wasn't in his DR beforehand being like, oh fuck, like I got picked for POV, like I need to win this POV.
Yes,
if I win this POV, bubble. No, he wasn't. Was he?
No, he would no.
Oh.
The thing is he was in his DR.
He was after
being like, I need to win this power of veto, but he wasn't doing it for the sake of making a move. He was like, I need to win this power of veto because I need to take it for myself because I'm the backdoor target. But he did not have all of this like, let's get out Nicole Jocasta.
That's true. Yes.
He didn't have the plan that quite literally everybody else except Victoria had. Like everyone, like you said, doomsday. Everyone knew what was going to happen if Donnie went
Yeah,
veto,
Donnie just wanted to
except
be
Donnie and
safe.
Victoria.
You're
He
right,
might have
Donnie.
gone.
And you're all correct in that Donnie did talk about veto, but he was just saying like, this is do or die for me because I'm obviously going to be a replacement nom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So all of that being said, I will go first since I brought it up. My MVP of the week is Nicole. Jackson said Shinx is going to simp for Nicole. I'm actually simping for Nicole this week because I think that it was actually both of my MVP and like honorable mention. My honorable mention is Cody because I think even though he was in the
Wow.
even though he was in a horrible position, like he played from the bottom. You know what I mean? It's such, and we just talked about that in this episode. It was so interesting seeing them having to scrap and to scramble. Like our biggest players, Cody and Nicole, other than Zach, who went out first jury member, have been our absolute biggest like titans of the season, and they've been on top. And it was so interesting to have to see them scrap this week. That being said, my MVP is Nicole because, again, Cody already kind of had the thought, but she literally saved herself from death. Like she was gone. And it was so impressive to see her pitch her ass off and get someone to not technically backdoor because Jacasa played in veto, but I'm gonna say it for the soundbite.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, it was.
Yeah, to get someone to backdoor not only their number one, but their ride or die final two over putting her up because it was the right move to do. Especially a player that has been shown to be as like emotionally or like socially volatile is the wrong word, but like back and forth as Cody, like unpredictable socially and emotionally as Cody. In order for her to be able to do that was absolutely astounding.
Yeah.
My LVP is very simple. My LVP of the week is Victoria. She sat as the game was played around her the entire week, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I'll go next because I didn't decide on my MVP yet, Jackson. But since everyone's assuming, I might as well. Yeah, I'll give it to Nicole just because we love a good final eight. You're about to die, flip the vote, change the renom type thing. I've done it. Now she's done it. It's like, yay, snaps to her.
Oh God.
And then
what good company.
LVP, there's nothing else I need to say. Nicole, clean the fuck up.
Yeah.
Good shit. LVP.
I fully agree with everything that they're saying about this, by the way. Like,
Nicole, I agree too. 100%.
We know who trainer of the week is going to be, so I'm giving the flowers to where they need to go. So, LVP, I don't want to keep dogging Victoria, but she got a strike, which I already don't love. And then she flops Battle the Block, not only by disqualifying herself, but also just being slow in general. And she flops the veto. Like, Victoria, Victoria, your real name, blank, redacted. I love you. Get it together. I've seen you play better than this. Clean it up, girl, please. I'm begging you. That's all I got to steal on Victoria.
I'm gonna, join the chorus of Nicole for my MVP, just because it was really hella impressive, and I think it was season long's worth of work as well as putting in really, really good work this cycle in a do or die scenario. I can't justifiably give it to Cody when he got his number one out of the house. I just can't. But props to him for making the right decisions, and I think I just gave him the MVP for last episode anyway, so like he can deal. Maybe semi-controversial. My LVP, Victoria may not have really done much this cycle and had some like fuck ups, but I don't think she did anything actively harming her game more than it has already been harmed. So I'm going to throw mine at Hayden for kind of doing too much and taking what could have been a really successful cycle for him and kind of asking for too much from it and trying to do too much and ending up actually actively harming his game. Not only with Brittany and Nicole, who literally Nicole just saved him this cycle. Like Cody wanted to backdoor him, and Nicole put a stop to it. And instead, he worked behind their back, tried to get them thrown under the bus. Amber clocked his game, Brittany clocked his game, Nicole clocked his game. I just think he wanted to have his cake and eat it too, and that shot himself in the foot. So he's my LVP because he actively did work to harm his game. Whereas Victoria, like y'all kind of said, just kind of was there.
She did lock in for a few moments and didn't really hurt herself any more than he did.
He was doing well, and then I just think he tried to do too much.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go. I'm giving my MVP point to Donnie. While I do agree with quite literally everything that's been said so far, none of it would have happened in the first place if it weren't for Donnie. And while he, yes, didn't like immediately have the thought of, oh, if I win veto, I can use it on one of the nominees to fuck shit up. But he did have it enough to be like, I'm the backdoor target. I need to win veto for my own safety.
Yeah.
And then once he did win safety and he knew he was good for himself, he was like, how can I maximize this to do the most damage possible to the people that want me out of the game?
Yeah.
And he did. And because of all of that, Nicole, the best player of the game, which so far, at least in my mind, and probably the player
Yeah.
of the season,
Yeah,
was
definitely.
Yeah.
put in this do or die position that no one else has come even close to putting her in so far, and she had to flex that muscle. But yes, my
Mhm.
MVP point will be for the beard for Donnie. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably just go with Victoria for LVP too. I don't need to say anything else with it that hasn't already been said, so I'll just leave it at that.
MVP argument, if you're gonna say Donnie, is the actual MVP the Kadabra bot for in Victoria's submissions
Oh my
picking
God.
Donnie for the veto?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's
Dabra
the reason why
MVP.
Victoria is my LVP is because she literally almost lost herself the game.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. All right. I think my MVP is going to be controversial, but I think I should get a win since I wasn't strong arm, but almost against my will, I had to choose trainer of the week. Like I had no other choice, but I want to have some win for me this week.
Oh my
And
gosh.
you know what? Who gives a fuck? So
Just
my
say fucking
MVP is going to
Hayden.
be Hayden. It's
Of
going to be Hayden.
course.
And
Why do
listen,
we let women
listen,
speak? It's crazy.
listen.
I'm simping for Nicole. You're simping for
Can
Hayden.
I
Let's get
can
that
I
shit out the fucking
explain?
way.
So I totally understand and agree with the reasons why Hayden is Swan's LVP. Like I'm not at all saying that this was like a perfect week for Hayden or anything, but in my opinion, when you look at it, like the POV move, Hayden is essential in helping Donnie win the veto. And Hayden clocks right away that, like, oh my God, Donnie needs to win the veto so that we can make this move against the other side. He's the only one on that side of the house that clocks it from the beginning. And then he immediately does everything he can to help Donnie win, which is what helps Donnie win the veto.
I will
And
say
then
Donnie
he
only won because of Hayden, because Victoria scored
exactly
nothing,
Donnie
and
does
Amber
not win the
gave them to
veto
Hayden.
if Hayden does not clock that Donnie needs to win, then Donnie doesn't win because it's Hayden is essential. So then Donnie wins the video, both because of Donnie and because of Hayden. And I mean, other people were putting badges on Donnie too, but because of those two.
No,
and
no
then
one
he
else put him on Donnie except for Hayden. It was
Oh,
because
really?
of Hayden.
Oh,
And
okay.
Victoria got 0. Amber gave him to Hayden, and Cody and Trust
Oh,
were going to do
right.
it.
Jesus
So yeah,
Christ.
Hayden is literally the reason why Donnie wins the veto, which again, none of this happens if Donnie doesn't win the veto. And Donnie is trying to win, but he's not like onto it as much as Hayden is. Then Hayden is immediately in Donnie's. I mean, one of them messaged the other, but they're both like, because Donnie does realize right away, oh, I need to make this move. And Hayden already knows. So they're immediately strategizing. Like we talked about, Hayden also feeds all the things that Amber's telling him back to Donnie because he knows that they can only really trust Victoria's vote. That doesn't happen. Amber probably gets vetoed if not for Hayden as well. And then probably none of this happens either. So at the end of the day, like he made major missteps at the end of the cycle. Like he just got, like you said, he just got too cocky and was being a little too cute and a little too cheeky and he wanted too much. But I disagree with the fact that like it really was a harm for him. I do think it hurt those relationships, but I think no matter what, the people, Amber, Brittany, and Nicole, are targeting Hayden this week and every week, probably no matter what. Because Hayden, at the end of the day, even though Brittany has good relationships with Hayden, Nicole has pretty good relationship, or they did, has a good relationship with Hayden. Amber is, right in the middle, but Amber's already loyal to the other side more than she is Hayden. And Brittany and Nicole are besties. Brittany is the other big physical threat, and they're not going to go after each other. They're going to go after Hayden. So I don't think him being cheeky and making missteps like ruined his game. I think it was just like it probably just accelerated by a week or two them being okay targeting him. But honestly, Nicole wins this HOH. She probably nominates Hayden no matter what. So I don't think it really changes much. I think it was like he didn't have to do all that, but I still think none of this happens if not for Hayden. So that's why he gets the MVP, because also someone else gets trainer of the week, obviously.
All roads lead back to Hayden.
That's right. Hayden Truther, stand up.
I agree with
agree.
Sydney. Like I mentioned it earlier.
Oh yeah.
Like none of this happens without Hayden starting it. The thing
Hayden
that
had a great
after-
like if
was
this
the
is
very
a
end.
real life week, Hayden had a great 5 days and then just shit the bed on the weekend, basically.
Yeah.
But none of this happens without him, including Donnie using, I think the most important thing, Donnie using the veto on the wrong person and Victoria going home. Like
Yeah.
none of
Yeah.
that happens without Hayden.
Yeah,
So
and like also I'll say as a whole too, like Hayden and when Joey was still in the house, Joey were like the leaders of this opposite side of the house alliance against Shield / soccer moms. And Hayden is pretty much consistently the only one who's like showing up, winning competitions, and usually actually trying to strategize and like actively having the right reads on the house. He doesn't always, like he's made the wrong reads sometimes. And like, you know, like the end of this week. But like at the end of the day, like Hayden is leading this alliance or this like ragtag group of people. And without him, like most of them are probably already gone. Without him, like most of them are in a much worse position. Like he's done so much to uplift so many of the people on the other side of the house. Like I think Hayden and by proxy also Joey like are the only reason that there's sides of the house. If not, I think that side of the house would just not exist. They would be mostly gone, or there wouldn't be enough of a coalition of them to be a threat. So that's just to say, like Hayden Truther stand up. Hayden
And
Truther
I
stand up.
agree. And I agree with all the stuff that was said about Nicole. And I agree with all the stuff that was said about Hayden. So I'm literally chill with all of
yeah,
it. So
same.
Let's go. Let's go. Okay. My
Right.
LVP Lisa Vanderpump is Cody. And listen, it's hard for me to give it to Cody because like in hindsight, looking at the entire week, like it's Cody did so many of the right things and made the right reads. And like it's not necessarily like he ended up in the position he did because he like made a major misstep, but like he just had such a horrid HOH. Like such a horrid HOH. Like I just have to give it to him. Very similarly to like why I gave it to Nicole last cycle. Like Nicole didn't really do anything wrong last cycle for the most part, but she's still just like it's just an HOH that's so bad. I have to give it a demerit. Like I just like what can you do? Like literally like the only real path that would have been worse for Cody this week is if he was like not HOH and was on the block and not safe. Like he somehow managed to have an HOH where it wasn't the end of his game or anything, but it was like really like literal worst case scenario because he lost Jocasta, who is obviously his day one ride or die, and someone who was always going to be loyal to him. And maybe honestly, like in hindsight, we'll have to see, but like maybe even just besides the fact that keeping Nicole was obviously the right move for his like long-term success and staying in the house, it might help him to have Jocasta and Jury to be like a champion for him, even though she might not even be. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But anyway, I'm not saying I'm not saying I mean I respect Cody so much. Like he really did almost inadvertently like save his entire game by making the right move, but it was such a bad HOH for so many reasons that I just have to give LVP to him. Yeah.
And what about your trainer of the episode?
So trainer of the week is Donnie.
Oh my god.
And he deserves it. Yeah, he did good. I hate to say it.
It was truly Donnie's moment to shine this week, I will say.
Yeah, been playing better since Zach died.
Truly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I think that's part of what makes this so satisfying for like his character arc in the game. Like this week is like he has spent since he like tanked his own game for Zach. He has spent weeks like trying to rebuild trust and rebuild relationships because he was labeled as just like snake. Don't trust him. Don't like him. And some people still think that. Like Brittany still is like, I'll never trust him again because he lied so convincingly. But a lot of people over time, like he's proven himself. And then when Zach left, which was his number one ally, he really was calm, made the right moves, and really pivoted well. And it actually helped him build better leverage with new allies. So I think this week was like a culmination of all of this work he's put in. Kind of like I think Graham said it about Nicole. Like the reason Nicole was able to save herself was through all the work she's done since the start of the game, like building relationships and like understanding like the dynamics of the house. It's kind of like that with Donnie. Like he was able to make this move and was in the right position to do it because of all the work he's done to rebuild his own game. And that's really impressive.
Thank you for being so brave and so strong.
Truly.
And just so inspiring in this moment of hardship. And when you
I'm so impartial.
Consistently compliment and talk up Donnie for longer than a sentence. So I really All right. Well, we've discussed these last two cycles and all their juicy detail. So the only thing we have left to do is take our little stroll down memory lane and rewind the clock to BB rewinds of years past. We have both cycle 8 and cycle 9 to talk about, so I think we can just go for whatever is calling to us and just mention what we want.
Yeah, so I am going to choose BBR12, which cycle 8, Reagan went home at Final Four. He was one of the major contenders to win after Hayden, I think, was kind of our number one player, the saboteur himself. And Reagan, aka Dolan, is like my real life friend who lives like a block and a half away from me. We had a mutual friend who got us both kind of into orgs, and so I got him to play rewinds because y'all were desperate for people in season 12. Clearly, given the talent pool that y'all ended up with.
Oh yeah.
And he did really well. Not mainly because he's a good player, but he did really well. But like, you know, he didn't have a lot to play with. But the true highlight of this cycle is actually friend of the pod, recent listener Alex. Her now I believe wife, not fiance.
Wife.
They done tied the knot.
Wife,
I
yes.
was playing as Matt and fully took an edible for I think the first time
Yeah.
Ever. Yep.
for Zing Party. So
Yep.
Matt is just like having a mental breakdown, like can barely function throughout the
Also,
entirety of
context,
Zing
this is
Party,
only the
which is
second time we run Zing Party. This
and
is
Zing
number
Party
2
is like
of
a
Zing
lot to keep up with, and there's a lot of
Party. This
moving
is we're
parts.
still
You're
like
doing
trying to learn who the
competitions, you're
kinks
doing
of Zing
trivia,
Party.
you're having to watch where you move on the board. And it was honestly one of the highlights of my like spectating experience was watching that Zing Party live because it was insane.
It was, and it made it even funnier
Yep.
because Matt would be having these fucking like psychotic breaks from reality, like during the rolls and like the questions and everything. And then it would get to the mini game, and Matt like
He locked the
won
fuck
quite a
in.
few of the mini
He
games.
locked the fuck in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was iconic.
I loved it. It was very funny.
It was my favorite moment of BB Rewind's 12.
Honestly, T. Yeah.
100%.
The only moment of BB Rewatch 12.
Yeah, it is like the iconic moment.
I'm gonna go because mine kind of goes off of Swan because I'm just gonna do cycles 8 and 9 consecutively of BBR7. Because cycle 8 really did set up cycle 9. So Lana Del Rey was a queen, and she actually was like a very premier, like very big threat in the house. She had a lot of connections. She was very well liked. She was pretty close with Julia. But essentially
Former winner Troy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who won
literally
season 4.
was very much one of like the biggest powerhouse threats, but like because she was a physical player and also super social and well liked. And it just ended up being like things came together in cycle 8 that like she ended up on the block and then thought she had all the votes, and we all kind of were like, we probably should have picked Lana because like she's going to be a bigger problem in the future.
Yeah.
And this was the same week that Laura had the coup, who was essentially given the coup by Julia because Julia and I and Jeevan fucked everything up and didn't give ourselves the coup. So Julia gave it to Laura because she wanted it to be with someone at least that she liked and that she trusted. So Laura decides to throw away the coup and not use it to like essentially backdoor Julia because her and Julia are besties. She thinks that Julia and them are number one. She doesn't know that I'm Julia's number one. So that's cycle 8. Lana leaves. It's kind of like a shocker. Like Lana did not expect to go. And it's like, okay, big threats out of the house. Then cycle 9, I win HOH, right?
Yeah, that was your sweep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won one. I think I won a POV maybe in BBR6, and then I won one HOH and one POV in BBR7, and it was the same week. It was this week, and I was. Can I just say I was in Las Vegas, drunk as fuck every single night. I won this HOH drunk in my Las Vegas hotel room. I won the POV drunk at a dinner. Yeah, I was literally like wasted in Vegas every single night. So cycle 9, I win, and I'm very happy because Elizabeth, my other number one, is trying to essentially backdoor Julia. I'm trying to get her to not backdoor Julia, and Julia is like, you should probably put. I think Julia's trying to maybe get me toward evicting Elizabeth, which I won't do, or trying to put her up. I won't do that either. And I want to get rid of Laura because Laura has clocked me and Elizabeth as number ones, which is true. I mean, pretty much everyone had at that point because we were not settled. But she was like the biggest issue. Like I knew if Laura won HOH, she would put us up next to each other, me and Elizabeth. So I want Laura to go. And I'm kind of having to convince Julia because Julia is still very close with Laura and she knows if she evicts Laura, like Laura's going to be bitter, very bitter. So all comes to fruition. Laura ends up as a final nominee and she is like, well, Julia, I have your vote, right? And Julia's like, well, about that. And then Laura's like,
no.
what? Like, well, you actually don't. And Laura's like, what? What? You didn't, what? So then they get in like a huge fucking fight. Like a fucking fight. Like Laura is like begging. She's like, I almost used the coup to get rid of you, but I didn't because I'm loyal to you. And Julia's like, I can't explain everything right now, but I'll tell you in my goodbye message to you. And it does not go well. So like,
And Laura was like,
after-
don't send me a goodbye message. Like, it was like,
don't fucking speak to me, bitch. You fucking whore. Like, we didn't actually say that, but
it was crazy.
It was
it
a
was
mess.
it was probably, I mean, obviously I did not witness it because it was in their one-on-ones, but like I can only imagine probably
It was
one
bad.
of the most tense, like bitter ass, like fucked up fights ever had in one-on-ones in BBR history, I would probably
We
say.
thought Cole lost the season when she was the last to vote, and we
Yeah.
thought she lost the season because of
Yeah.
that.
Which that makes that finale even more sweet, doesn't it? Like the tension. But anyway,
Yeah.
so finally after they fight, Cole puts his vote in, Julia puts her vote in to evict Laura. Laura leaves, and then that leads immediately into a double, which we will get to next week.
Oh God. That run
Ooh.
of weeks in BB
That
7.
night, that the emotions that went through everyone in the house that night, like it was not okay.
Yeah, that was the same day double too. There was no like delay.
No, yeah, it was literally right after he evicts Laura, we go into the double.
Immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Day 30. Yep.
We love same day doubles.
It was
We
it
do.
really, it gives you the best, like it feels like the show.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like the most authentic experience.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, I think I will go next. For my cycle 8 moment, I want to talk about this because we also had a tournament bracket of sorts for this HOH competition. Throwback to not very long ago, but last season in Big Brother Rewinds 15. It's been a contentious few weeks. The power's been shifting back and forth between the Pasta Alliance and the Salad Alliance. They're taking shots at each side. We just lost Aaron in the double eviction. Sunflower went out right before then. So it's looking a little lopsided towards the pastas. They might be starting to run away with this. But lo and behold, it shakes out so that Zelda, famed salad member alliance, famed member of the Salad Alliance, and Sombra,
Famed breadstick.
famed breadstick in the middle, are the final two in the final
These were the
bracket.
dumbest names ever.
Shut up. You're just a hater.
No, I
but
love it, but they're so dumb.
They're
are the
stupid. I
final
agree.
The final two of this HOH competition. And Zelda's done like really well in the last two mazes that they've had to compete. So it's a tournament. They're facing off one-on-one, and they have to complete this maze before their opponent finishes it. And if you finish it, you move on. Simple as that. So Zelda gets to the final with Sombra, and Sombra already wants to throw because Sombra's trying to ride the middle, and if Zelda wins, like power will swing back into the side of the salads, and it won't just be this like domination, this steamroll of the salads. And Zelda will still have Katana and Waddle Dee, and like they'll be able to do it. So imagine everyone's surprise when we get to this final and Zelda decides to throw this HOH to Sombra because Sombra is with them. And if Zelda isn't HOH this cycle, Sombra can still take the shot at the pasta people and still be able to play next week. So bad. We literally post the maze like they're competing. Like it's the final. We post the maze.
It's live.
It's live. Like it's happening. And a minute goes by. It is kind of a hard maze. Okay, maybe they're just going like taking a second. There's a lot going on. Another minute passes by. Another minute. What's happening? What's going on? Neither of them are even typing. And it becomes very clear that these two are in a head-to-head like game of throw this HOH chicken. And both of them refuse to win HOH because they want the other one to
Scream.
win and do the thing that they don't want to have to do themselves. And it gets to the point where Sombra literally says, you should probably win this to Zelda.
And is giving Zelda help.
And is giving
her hints.
Yeah, is because they're sending an answer here, sending an answer there. None of them's right so far. Sombra says, Zelda, you need to fix this number and you'll be right. And like, I'm just saying, you need to win this HOH. And Zelda goes, no, it's all yours. Please take this HOH. And so after like 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes of this, Sombra goes, okay. And Sombra literally like held against their will, wins HOH. And what does Sombra do? Sombra nominates Kitana and Zelda. And Zelda gets evicted. So
And
bad.
then-
And Chris, we love you so
We
much.
love you, Chris. But
Chris, one of
Jesus.
my favorite people on Discord, was so happy to see him come back and see a MILF get some success. Made it to
At least made jury.
Yeah, MILF made jury.
MILF major. That's
And
all
it
that
was
matters.
just it was so bad. But it happened. Okay, and then my cycle
Cycle
9.
9?
I'm gonna make this one quicker. My cycle 9, I want to talk about Big Brother Rewind's 11. One of the craziest cycles in Big Brother Rewind's history.
Unlucky for Spencer.
Yeah, in which Zach
Grant, we'll talk about in a
Swardzewski,
second.
the returning captain of the Brains clique, is taken out in a 3-2 vote over Casey, because Jen switched her vote with 3 seconds left. That is not like a hyperbole. Quite literally 3 seconds were left. And she tried to switch it again.
I believe she flipped back, then tried to unflip, and there was not enough time because that Steven had voted.
Jack had to stop watching.
Snowflake.
Snowflake.
How close that was.
And it
was allowed.
It was like 2 seconds after what we said the deadline was, and we physically could not change it because it would be unfair.
Yeah.
And this was
So
also the
fucking
week
funny.
that Jen won her second Power of Veto competition in a very clutch veto win because Jordan was actually targeting her and not Zach. So Jen wins the veto. Her, at least in Casey's mind, Jen was Casey's closest ally. So Casey gets put up as the renom, and it's Jen having this major deciding factor, literally is the deciding vote. And it goes down to literal seconds that Zach is evicted. And it's crazy. And it leads to a whole bunch of shit later on the road. Lydia and Laura are set up and like are fucking pissed moving forward. This leads to Jordan having her like intrusive thoughts thing later.
Jesus.
It was a great cycle. If anyone isn't familiar with this cycle, ask me about it in the Spec Lounge and I will tell you the full run. I will gladly talk about it.
My cycle 8 moment, my favorite one, is from actually BB Rewinds 13, where Chelsea, we talked about this last week, so I'm not going to go too into it. But Chelsea and Joshua had been winning HOHs. A single vet did not lose HOH. Like, vets were HOH the entire pre-jury phase. There wasn't a single newbie that won. Shelly won the HOH, flipped the game on its head, nominated Chelsea and Joshua. Well, Chelsea is basically only ally left in the house. Kaser wins HOH that week. And then through a series of events and gaslighting
that can only be
the entire
described as
house.
psychological warfare.
Every single individual not named Chelsea or Kaser was dogpiling on Kaser. Everyone.
And
Psychological warfare.
Psychological warfare. And the house as a whole, led by Shelly and Angie and Dominic, but the house as a whole ended up psychologically
mind fucking
Kaser into backdooring Chelsea. And Chelsea went home when she had no business going home. So that was that. It was really, really good cycle. Ask me about it if you want to in the spec lounge. Or Alex. I'll ask Alex about it. Alex loves to talk about that. So that's my cycle 8 moment. My cycle 9 moment comes from BB Rewinds 8. And I'll keep this very simple. Dustin was America's player, and he was doing his best to make the moves, maybe some could say. And he got put in a tricky situation and was trying to explain his moves. And he basically, Danielle was like, "Why are you doing this? Why are you going to veto my nominee?" And
Oh my God, wait, another cycle in which Zach Swardzewski was
yeah,
evicted?
Yeah,
another
I
cycle.
told you this is unlucky for Zach.
Yeah. And
Cycle 9 says death both
Yeah,
times.
down bad.
and he looks at Danielle, well, I guess types Danielle and says, "I have a need." And then there's just Danielle just sends an emoji in response. That's just the
I
blank
thought
face
that wasn't
emoji.
allowed.
And it's like, I thought that wasn't allowed.
Very a la the Cody and Zach
Yes,
conversation.
very,
Yeah,
very
it's
a
just
la, I have my reasons for being close with Victoria. But yeah, so that happened. So those
Yeah.
are
And the rest is history.
those are my moments.
Now I
Finish
could
us
talk
off.
about BB6, in which I got myself off the block where I was doomed, and then I went into H and got my revenge the very next week. But I'm not gonna do that. I can't in good conscience. I'm being limited to one, and I, in good faith, have to talk about in 4 minutes or less Big Brother 14
Mm,
because that week was insane. Pandora's
yeah.
box reared its ugly head for the final time, and JoJo's HOH. She wanted to target Danielle. She couldn't do it because Danielle won this Pandora's veto. And this veto, this is where Dan's funeral happened in the real show. This shit might as well be as close to that as we got here. Because Krista, of course, wins the veto as Cole would. And now there's a bunch of 8D chess going on here where Cole needs both nominees to be saved, but he can't save one because Hazel will not save the other. So through a bunch of fucking mind games and
Insane.
shenanigans and bullshit, Krista gets Danielle to use the veto on Joe, which is what Krista wanted to happen primarily. Because if Krista couldn't veto Joe, if Danielle didn't veto Joe, Krista was going to veto Joe. So
Mhm.
Danielle vetoes Joe. Now, Krista and Ashley at this point have been lying to the DR. They made a plan. I didn't even know that they made this plan. I don't know when they did it, if they made this plan to for Krista to save Ashley, because Ashley gets put up in this interim. And the plan is for Krista to save Ashley. But Krista has been lying in the DR saying, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm like sitting here like in host chat, like, what the fuck is he doing? Is he not saving Ashley? Huh? 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 And then he goes to submissions. Hope you guys like that I lied to the DR. I'm using it on Ashley. And so Ashley goes up and Shane is forced on the block at final 8 in a very Jocasta-esque situation because
Actually,
I
yeah,
think
very
she
similar.
was JoJo's closest ally. But in this point, she did. Shane survived because he had all the connections with the right people, namely Danielle and Joe. Tanya left 4-0. Goodbye, Zav.
Legend,
And then
icon, star, Zav.
Winner of season 3.
cycle 9,
Yeah.
yeah, like, well, this cycle is where the Saboteur, Hayden, fumbled, lost the game, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I'm talking about last season again, because this was the scary cycle for me where not straw loose happens once more. Alex, Isabel wins the HOH, and things are looking fine until we get the weirdest Hickman wins OTEV. No one saw that coming ever.
I
And now we're
forgot
looking,
about that. In the tiebreak,
yeah,
Vegas
this fucking
Waddle Dee
tiebreaker because
Beck
you guys deleted the milliseconds by
Yeah.
mistake. And so we're looking at a Renom situation because she's at this point, I've been trying to make her not blindside Clementine because I need Pasta to stick together at least through the battle back, at least. And she doesn't listen to me. She does Clement Pickman. Pickman wins the veto. I'm like, at this point, I realize that I'm her best Renom. I'm like, I hope she doesn't realize I'm her best Renom. She does realize I'm her best Renom. I'm like, girl, please don't do this to me. Don't. Do not. If you're gonna do it, know that it's against my will, and it will. I was faking nice. I'm like, if she does this to me, it's gonna hurt our relationship. She did it, and Hazel tried to make her not do it either. So Hazel, in response to her not listening, tries to vote me out. And then Robin's high ass doesn't vote. So what should have been, what was promised to me as a 5-0 vote becomes a 3-2 because Hazel's crazy. Robin's high. And then Aqua and Jake have been fighting because Waddle Dee was lying to Clementine, and there was a whole thing. And and we're going to the pressure cooker right after this happens. So I was like, this is everything the Alliance could put together. One more day. Then we all go in the pressure cooker and jump it. Because at this point, Hazel was supposed to win HOH, but Alex forgot to throw or just didn't throw or whatever because we wanted to lock Hazel out of the pressure cooker, and everything hit the fan. That's all. BB15 is chef's kiss. I'm done.
Very good.
Take it away.
Yes. So that will wrap us up. We will see you guys next time on the Rewinds Rewind. The battle back is here. Battle of the Block is over.
Thank God.
Thank God. We're in the
Thank
end
fucking
game
God.
now.
Light at the end of the tunnel. We're done.
We'll see you
Bye.
guys.
Bye.